All right, play nice, but are they going to race nice? I wonder what the moms do when they watch their sons out there. Let's find out tonight. Let's welcome in, along with Darrell Waltrip, Larry McReynolds, and Mike Joy. Guys.
Thanks, Chris. Tonight's winner becomes a part of history. He'll join names like David Pearson, Dale Earnhardt, Cale Yarborough, Darrell, who won his last Cup race here, and Johnny Mance, who won the first Southern 500, Ned Jarrett, who once won this race by 14 laps. Incredible history at this racetrack. Darrell, why is it so revered?
Because it's hard. This is probably the hardest racetrack that we race on, Mike. 367 laps, 500 miles, very narrow. You got to be right up against the wall. I mean, touching it, really. I said in the pre-race show, you got to be against it to win it, and that's really how these guys feel. You rub that wall. Plus, this is one of the crown jewels. Back in the day, there were 3 races that every driver wanted to win. Charlotte the 600, Daytona, and the Southern 500.
Right, the biggest, the longest, and the toughest. This one. Since this track was built in 1950, Larry, everything's changed except the shape of the racetrack and racing surface.
Well, when I look at these 43 drivers going for 500 miles here tonight, yeah, you have 42 competitors you're trying to outrun, but your toughest competition is this racetrack itself. And you're going to be going around here about twice the speed that this place was designed, so you have to be precise. But I promise you, at the end of this thing, you forget about that. You throw caution to the wind and you let it eat.
All right, get set for 500 miles at the track too tough to tame, the Lady in Black, the track in Darlington County. Year's winner, and Carl Edwards, who's the point leader. Jeff Gordon, a 7-time Darlington winner, and Marcus Ambrose, A.J. Allmendinger, and Brian Vickers, best start of the season for Brian. Tony Stewart's never won here. Brad Keselowski, second top 10 start of the year. David Reagan and Jamie Mack, who finished second here last year. Kevin Harvick, 6th here last season from 35th. Kyle Busch, the 2008 winner. Bobby Labonte, who won in 2000 and won Paulo Montoya. Joey Logano picked up 3 spots in the points last week with Paul Menard. Jimmy Johnson, who won both Darlington Cup races in 2004, there with Matt Kenseth. That's your top 20 as you have a look at the rest of the starting lineup. Let's talk to the man who won his 21st Sprint Cup pole yesterday.
Casey Kane, it's DW. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you, DW.
Hey, buddy, you got a pretty good record for winning races from the pole. How about tonight?
Yeah, I think we had a great car qualifying. The whole Red Bull team's done a really nice job this weekend. We had a great run last week, and looking forward to tonight. It's a tough track. It'd be great to run up front all night and have a chance at the end. We'll see what we can do.
Casey, have you and Kenny Francis, your crew chief, have you really got this thing dialed in for the long run tonight?
I hope so. We spent some time, working on it in practice, and we didn't get a lot of practice Friday with the rain. We got about an hour shorter than normal, so that was. We wish we had a little more, but so's everybody out here. And but yeah, we had a good balance. Hopefully, it holds on throughout the race.
All right, my friend. Good luck. 367 laps, 500 miles. Watch those walls.
All right, sounds good. Thanks.
This race is brought to you by Budweiser, the beer that starts with full flavor and ends with a crisp, fast finish. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. Let's get down to pit road for late-breaking stories. Chris Devoto.
Mike, in order to have good dates with the Lady in Black, you must make a good first impression. Denny Hamlin's first Darlington date was a 10th place finish. He's only finished outside that mark here 1 time. I asked crew chief Mike Ford what makes him so good. He said this is a track of inputs and precision, and that's when Denny Hamlin shines. Steve?
Well, Chris, as Larry Mack said earlier, Carl Edwards' wife, Kate, gave birth to their 2nd child, a son, this week. I asked Carl in driver intro, do you have any special Mother's Day wishes? He said, yeah. Tell those other 42 mothers on the track to stay out of my way. Carl Edwards, the points leader, has never number 1 at Darlington, Matt Yoakum.
Steve, the first 40 laps will be an important learning tool for so many teams up and down pit road, especially 7-time Darlington winner Jeff Gordon. He only got a chance to make one race run in practice because, as Casey Kane mentioned, it was rain shortened. But when you look at his racing resume, no driver is as stellar here at the famed Lady in Black as a 24 machine. Al Augusta feels like they're close, but this could be a mulligan for the first 40 laps. Dick Berggren?
Tony Short has won 39 times on NASCAR's top circuit, but never here. Only one other track he has been shut out on, and Stewart says it's bothering him enormously that he has not won at Darlington. Tremendous focus on winning tonight, but like the other drivers, with rain having washed practice out, he doesn't know about the setup under the car and whether it's good enough to win. On the other hand, his crew is behind him. What do you think, guys? Is he going to win?
He's only led 11 laps here, so we'll see if he can improve on that this evening. Ready to race in Darlington, South Carolina. 500 miles, 367 laps, 45 on pit road. Fuel window right around 60 laps. Darrell, they head into turn 4. We're ready to go.
Yes, sir. On this Mother's Day Eve. For all you moms out there, tonight is for you. It's a tribute to you and all you've done for these guys driving these cars. Boogity, boogity, boogity! Let's go racing, boys!
And the first 6 rows are single file before they even exit turn 2.
Probably the most difficult first lap of anywhere we go. This track is dirty. Tires are low on pressures. Got to be careful. Tippy toe a little bit here.
Kane and Newman broke the track record. Both of them did in qualifying, and despite the limited practice yesterday, they're pulling away.
So much has to do how you get off turn 2 and how you get bound that back straightaway. Newman got off there good. He's challenging Kane for the lead here coming off turn 4.
You know, Larry, I picked Newman to win this race because of his record. He is awesome here. He has an average of 12th place finish here on all the races he's run.
For now, Casey Kane, the pole sitter, holds off Ryan Newman, who gets another great run off turn 2. Cuts the distance in half midway down the backstretch, but not close enough this time.
And you might say, well, 12th, that's not all that great. It is at Darlington.
Yes, it is.
Well, he's going to go on the high side.
And Kane gives him just enough room, and they're single file again.
Well, he is looking all over, high, low. He wants that lead, baby.
Dives to the bottom in 3. He's there right at the back bumper of Casey Kane, but in the corner can advance no further.
It's just so tough. We have a lot of racetrack to work with here, but the groove is not much wider than what you have on a short track.
Casey Kane won the Truck Series race here last month, as Bobby Labonte and Montoya trade a little paint early.
Bobby slid up in front of Juan, and they did make a little contact, looked to me like.
Third place battle. Denny Hamlin, Jeff Gordon, the only 2 prior Darlington winners to start in the top 13 as the 60 goes around.
Caution's out.
Mike Skinner.
Caution's out. Caution's out.
Well, that didn't take long, did it?
No, but you mentioned Denny Hamlin. I asked him before the race, I said, Denny, who has the best car? He said, I do.
I don't know how we did it, but we didn't hit nothing. I'm just going to limp her down here and let's put tires on here.
That was Ken Schrader.
If he got just a little bit of help, I think that might be from the 66 car of Michael McDowell.
Now, earlier, we saw Bobby Labonte underneath Montoya in the 42.
Bobby got loose. I mean, trying to get past Juan, he got a little bit loose. I don't think they made contact after looking at that.
Well, they didn't miss it by much as we're under the first caution of the night in Darlington.
Got to anticipate. Where am I going to catch this guy? Once you catch him, you've got to commit. You cannot hesitate. Hesitation here is what causes wreck. You get a run on him, you got to pass him, and you got to know that you're coming.
Ready for the restart. Mike Skinner and Michael McDowell both went to the garage. Denny Hamlin slammed the wall with the right side of his car on lap 2. He says his car is very, very tight as Casey Kane elects the inside for the restart against Ryan Newman.
Ryan Newman in that 39, I thought he would get a good run just like he did through the high side of 1 and 2. He takes the lead down the back straightaway.
I think Casey Kane doesn't want to take a chance on somebody getting under him and putting him up in the fence, so he took the conservative route.
Jeff Gordon is 3rd. Brian Vickers takes 4th. As Hamlin fades a spot, he now has to battle Carl Edwards for 5th. Marcus Ambrose in 6th. Tony Stewart in 7th. Let's show you what happened to Hamlin back on lap 2.
That's a pretty hard lick right there this early in the race, but these cars are tough. They'll take it.
Drivers and crew chiefs know that NASCAR will waive the caution at about lap 40. It'll be a competition yellow because the teams and officials are concerned with the lack of practice yesterday due to rain.
I tell you what, boys, I've been watching Kyle Busch here in the 18 car, won the race last night, started back in 14th, already cracked the top 10 up to 9th.
He is moving.
Tony Stewart to 7th. Holding off Marcus Ambrose. And here's Brad Keselowski on the high side of Jimmy Johnson. That's a race for 12th.
And see, Larry, the reason you take the inside on the restart is because the guy on the outside usually has to give getting into turn 1.
Here comes David Reagan now to the inside of Keselowski. Paul Menard looking in the 27. Joey Logano in the 20.
Yeah, Allmendinger in that 43 car, he's been sliding back since the start of the race. He qualified in 7th. He's already back to 14th.
Kurt Busch made a pit stop on this caution flag and has climbed 9 positions since making adjustments.
And that is a backup car for Kurt Busch. He crashed in practice yesterday.
5th place battle.
So hard to run the bottom. You just saw Carl Edwards in the 99 car. You just need the whole racetrack here. It's hard to pass somebody on the bottom. You got to be really strong if you can.
Newman, Kane, and closing on the front duo is Jeff Gordon in the 24. And behind them, Brian Vickers off to a great start tonight. Remember that Darlington was the last race he ran in 2010 before sitting out the rest of the season with medical issues. Those are all resolved and behind him. He's good to go, so he's not missed a race at Darlington.
Had a great run at Richmond last Saturday night, top 10 finish. Looks like he's on the mark again tonight early.
Tony Stewart closing on his former teammate. He looks underneath and passes Denny Hamlin.
Watching some of these guys right now coming off turn 2, Larry, that seems to be the trouble spot right now. It looks like guys are pushing the cars are pushing and they're snapping loose on exit.
You're just carrying so much speed there because you're backing the throttle so early in the middle of 1 and 2.
Watch this cat right here. Watch this 16 car come off turn 2.
Greg Biffle.
Right in front of Dale Jr. here. Got a little bit high and man. That seems to be the trouble spot right now.
And it looked like Dale Earnhardt Jr. did a lot of give and take there, and he paid the price because he lost a position doing it.
Kyle Busch charging hard, picks up 7th. Edwards drops to 8th, Steve.
And Mike, he's lost 4 positions. Carl telling Bob Osborne that the splitter is hitting the track as he's going through the corners.
Well, as this track gains grip, you're going to be running faster. The car's going to travel more, and you're going to bottom things out like that.
And when that splitter hits the track, it's so strong, it lifts the front wheels up off the ground, makes them light. And that's what the driver really can't. He can't stand that.
And then the reason it's going to gain grip is because the track temperature is going to cool down, and the tires like that.
Casey Kane started on pole. Now 18 laps later, Ryan Newman, the outside pole sitter, is out front. Jeff Gordon third, Brian Vickers, Tony Stewart up to the 5th spot. Denny Hamlin's been in the wall but continues in 6th.
Breaking news, it was turn 2. Now it's turn 4. Yikes, look at that 22 car.
Kurt Busch, who we made a pit stop under that last caution.
Yeah, this is after they improved it. He is up to 29th. He's moving forward. And here's the race for 5th. Or 4th, rather. Brian Vickers giving 4th to Tony Stewart.
Mike, this is such a momentum racetrack. You got to get back in the gas. You got to carry speed off the corner so you can make those passes down these short straightaways, getting into the next turn.
Hamlin Edwards 7th and 8th, about 4 seconds behind race leader Ryan Newman. David Rudiman is the biggest mover in this race thus far. He's picked up 9 spots. Currently running 27. Kevin Harvick moving up. Marcus Ambrose back to 10th. Harvick to 9th.
I've been watching Harvick. His car looks pretty good. He's made some good passes. Looks like the car is working for him wherever he wants to go right now.
And Jimmy Johnson also passing Ambrose to move into the top 10. Johnson started 19th.
There's a spot over there, Mike, off of turn 2, between 1 and 2. You got to give. The guy on the outside got to give, because if they don't, they'll put you in the wall.
Carl Edwards gets close, but only so close to Denny Hamlin. Apparently bouncing off the wall in turn 2 has not hurt Hamlin's speed too much. He's about 4/10 off of what the race leader's running right now.
Yeah, Hamlin probably backed up a little bit, surveyed the damage, felt the car out, might have had to change his driving style just a teeny bit for what's wrong with the car, but he's settled in where he pretty consistent where he is right now.
Montoya the high side, Boyer the bottom. You heard from Clint Boyer and his mom in pre-race, and Clint's mom gave him one of the best bits of career advice he ever could have had. He was between finishing college and seeing if racing would take him somewhere. And his mother told him, son, you're doing well in racing. See where it takes you. College will be there.
Follow your dream.
And Boyer threads the needle between Montoya and Earnhardt to drop in line in 23rd.
Now,
I think him running in that race last night with the limited practice that they had yesterday with the Sprint Cup cars, I think that paid dividends. Of course, he did go to victory lane, too.
All right, 26 laps complete. Light the fuse for the Rocket. Ryan Newman leads in Darlington.
They call him Rocket. Need I say more? Don't blink or you'll miss him on NASCAR on Fox.
Let's hop in here with Jeff Gordon and see where he's going. Let's come back here. We're going to take the green. Uh-oh. We got trouble.
J.J. Yaley has had engine woes this season like no other team. In fact, they entered 2 cars this weekend, the second of which looked just like this at the end of its qualifying lap.
Make it really smoky.
Caution's out for the second time. 34 laps complete. Joe Nemechek has joined Truck Series veteran T.J. Bell.
Blew up. I just flipped the switch that made all the smoke come out for the caution.
That's J.J. Yaley. I guess you might as well joke about it, Darrell.
Drivers always find something, I don't know if you'd say sarcastic to say or not, but funny anyway.
He flipped the switch for the caution. He is kidding, of course. Joe Nemechek in the garage, T.J. Bell, David Stremme, along with Mike Skinner and Michael McDowell. So 37 cars on the racetrack as Yaley coasts in with the number 46. Robbie Gordon was the car one lap down that gets the free pass.
Larry, I'm taking inventory as the cars go by. I see one car after 36 laps, 35 laps, that has some right side damage.
And that would be Denny Hamlin.
Everybody else pretty clean right now.
Riding with Denny. Darian Grubb with Tony Stewart. Now, this will be the competition yellow. That was the thumbs up from Darian. Understanding that now, because this is the competition yellow, they can add fuel as well as change tires and make adjustments. That's not permitted. And Stewart's going to have a little difficulty finding his pit, he said on the radio earlier.
Yeah, he is pitting just beyond the entrance to pit road. He said he's not used to pitting that close to the entrance.
Just got to make sure you remind me every time here that where we're at on pit road here so I don't drive by it. Not a problem. I haven't been that far back but a couple times, so that's what I'll need the help with.
That is way up at the head end of pit road. Just look for the Sunoco sign. It's right there. It's a big red arrow. Steve Burns.
Mike, listening to Carl Edwards, he's been kind of obsessed about the splitter hitting. Crew Chief Bob Osborne telling him just to calm down, let us run a little bit more. Carl also saying that his car is tight in the center at both ends. Krista?
Steve, Casey Kane also a little bit tight, although he did say it did free up a bit as the run went on, but they will be coming in to make an adjustment. Dick?
Tony Stewart has motored from the 9th starting position to 2nd spot. He's pleased with the car, but it's better in turns 1 and 2 than it is in 3 and 4. This is an asymmetrical track, Matt.
Dick, Ryan Newman's one of 3 drivers who came to Darlington and performed the Goodyear tire test. His car was free in the test, but when they brought it back, it was tight. They made some big-time adjustments. The car now on the free side like he likes it. They're going to make a track bar adjustment just to try to tighten it up a little earlier in the run.
36 laps complete. This will be the first pit stop of the night for the majority of these teams. Kurt Busch, a couple others stopped at the first caution.
Well, and I think as you heard our guys and girls on pit road report, I think adjustments will be of aplenty about all these cars, all these drivers coming in. And I think it'll be 4 tires for everybody.
Boy, there, just look at these gas men, and there's a lot of pressure on these guys this year, more than ever.
There is Stewart in his pit already for 4 tires and 2 cans. Sunoco Greeny 15. Now pit road beginning to fill up. Ryan Newman, Stewart's teammate, way down at the other end.
The one good thing about pitting down there where Tony Stewart and the 14 group is pitting, he is completed with his pit stop before most of the drivers get to their pit box.
Jeff Gordon alongside of Stewart. That's going to kind of bottleneck up things as people exit, like Kyle Busch, who gets out just ahead of them, and Casey Kane. So here's the race off pit road. One from pit stall number 1 by Casey Kane, according to our tally, with Kyle Busch, Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart, and Denny Hamlin. Under caution for the 2nd time tonight in Darlington. You're watching NASCAR on Fox.
down pit road, so don't think you guys didn't do your job. I didn't do my job.
Okay, bud. You've shown us that you got what it takes. I think we got the car to do it. Just keep our heads in the game and do it all night. Doing awesome.
I think he's just being real cautious. You got to run the whole length of pit road at pit road speed. And remember what happened to him in Texas? He might be a little cautious till he gets maybe gets accustomed to how fast he can run down this long pit road and not get in trouble.
And he got busted for speeding at pit road.
Right.
On pit road in Texas.
Getting ready for the restart. And Carl Edwards concerned about that splitter. That's that bright green area way down next to the ground on the front of the car. Seeing if it's hitting on the ground. Ken Schrader stayed on track to lead a lap. And getting right up close and personal there to have a look at it.
Yeah, Bob Osborne told Carl Edwards just a little bit ago on the radio not to worry about it. That's Bob Osborne, his crew chief. What they can do is they can slide some little shims and limit how much the car travels in the front. It'll be very small changes, but it can help that splitter from bottoming out.
If it does it after the tires pressures build up, then he might have a problem. But it could just be on low air pressure. That's what Bob wants to see. What are they saying, Steve?
Darrell, Bob also told Carl that they were very aggressive on a bump stop, and more than likely that's what he was feeling.
All right, Ken Schrader's made his pit stop. He stayed out to lead a lap, pick up a bonus point. So on the front row now, Casey Kane on the outside. He took the inside last restart. He's outside of Kyle Busch, Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart, Carl Edwards, Denny Hamlin, Kevin Harvick, Ryan Newman, Jimmy Johnson, David Rudem in the top 10 as we're back under green. Battle for the lead off turn 2. Kane gets a good run off the corner. Kyle Busch unable to capitalize.
I think that's a classic case of that restart being on the outside, but I promise you, wild thing, he won't sit back there for long in that 18. Kyle Busch.
Gordon third, Stewart fourth, Hamlin fifth, then Newman, Harvick, and Johnson.
One thing, Casey Kane wasted no time in pulling away from everybody. That's a track record setting car right there you're looking at over 180 miles an hour. We know he's fast for one lap.
But Darrell, you've long said, where's the best place to be on this racetrack? Alone.
Way out front or where nobody's around you, if you can find that spot.
Darlington stripes up in that wall already.
Yeah, they were all freshly painted, you know, after the race last night here. They came in and touched all the walls up, so whatever we see, it's happening right now.
Saw a little strike count. We'll be tallying how many drivers get into this wall.
Did we rent punch stat for the evening to tally that? Or
they asked me, did we need double digits or triple digits?
We'll see. Dale Jr. looking back at Bobby Labonte as Casey Kane pulls away. It's Dale Jr.
Larry, the double digits are to keep up with the wall. The single digits are to wave at your buddy.
Kevin Harvick passing Ryan Newman, sixth place.
Looking back at Ryan Newman in that 39 car, he actually kind of had a mishap on his last pit stop, let the car roll as the guys were making the stop.
And some contact between Matt Kenseth in the 17 and Marcus Ambrose.
Boy, Matt was all the way down on the flat. Came up into the side of Marcos there. That was poorly timed by Matt Kenseth. Look how far down on the flat he is, and it's just hard to stick on the bottom like that underneath somebody.
And you lose so much momentum. Watch the 3M car, Greg Biffle, capitalize. Carl Edwards passing Ryan Newman, eighth place. Brian Vickers looking on.
And Mike, again, this is such a momentum place. If you have to get up out of the throttle at all and somebody's on your back bumper, they'll either hit you or go flying by you. But you got to keep your momentum up here.
David Reagan now has dropped to 25th after battling A.J. Allmendinger and Kurt Busch.
But I think so many of these drivers had to get so aggressive with their changes on that first pit stop. I think that's the reason a lot of them lost a lot of spots on that stop.
And as I watch Kenseth here, he is using that car must be super tight, and he's trying to get it down on the apron, down in 3 and 4 down here to make it turn, Steve.
DW, he's been struggling from the drop of the green flag. He says that it feels like it doesn't have any front tires, and he's plowing big time in 3 and 4.
Teams yesterday did not get the chance to try many different things in practice, which was rained out after less than 1 hour. A.J. Allmendinger started 7th. Krista, he's back to 23rd. What's up?
Yeah, and it started this race. He really was having the same problem he had in practice. The splitter hitting the ground. They dropped like a rock, fell back. They made a change, a track bar adjustment, and an air pressure adjustment. At the start of this run, he said the car is not good, but he just came on the radio and said, okay, boys, it's getting better.
That limited practice time, it's just thrown these drivers a huge curveball.
And that's kind of what a crew chief has to know, those things. At what point in the run is it getting better? Because it tells him it's the air pressure maybe a little low on the start, or whatever's happening to the car. It helps him figure out what he wants to do to it.
Brian Vickers right on top of Ryan Newman now. This is for 9th place. Matt?
Newman has dropped back to 9th, Mike, and a concern for Tony Gibson going into the race. Going back to past races, they've seen how this racetrack has gotten freer and freer for Ryan as the night's gone on. That's the trend they're seeing again. After their adjustments, Newman says the car is actually worse, really loose, especially in 3 and 4.
So, Larry, we know that the track, nighttime, it's going to get cooler. Do you chase the racetrack down or do you wait?
Well, I think you've got to take big swings at it throughout the night. We know as the track cools down, both ends of the race car is going to gain grip because it's cooler. The tires like that. But I think what I'm hearing that Matt just reported, they're anticipating that the track is also going to get looser. I think a lot of that is this tire combination.
The other part of it is, on any other racetrack, the crew chief might say, hunt around, find you another line to run. There's only one. You can't find another line to run. This is it, brother.
Look at Matt Kenseth in the 17. He's in trouble. Regan Smith just worked past him. Here's a whole pack of cars that Kenseth was holding up, including Travis Kvapil, Gilliland, and Casey Mears. Here's in the 13. Dave Blaney in the 36. That's Kenseth's spotter. Larry, do you stay out if you're Matt Kenseth and try to ride it out, or do you get this car fixed?
You know that a caution is always lurking at Darlington, so you do your best to ride it out. But the problem, Mike, it's only been 13 laps since the restart. The way Casey Kane and Kyle Busch is running right now, they are already a half a lap plus ahead in front of Matt Kenseth. That's the way it works here.
And, you know, back in the day, maybe you'd have panicked. But here you got so many ways. Now you got so many ways to get a lap back. Lucky dog, wave around. All those things come into play when you're in trouble.
Will mild-mannered Casey Kane keep his cool in the face of danger? Keep watching NASCAR on Fox.
Ambrose hurt Matt Kenseth. Here's a look at the contact with the right front. That created a leak in the tire. It eventually went flat, so flat that Kenseth could not turn in before the commitment cone to get onto pit road and get the right front changed. So they had to change the tires and then come around for a penalty.
This is the commitment line because the tire blew all the way out, so we're going to get a penalty, Jimmy. So do whatever you think you need to do to lose the least amount of time here. I couldn't help it. It popped all the way, and I missed the commitment line here.
So Kenseth had to serve the drive-through penalty, and he is now 3 laps down.
He took 2 tires, so that cuts a little bit of time off of being in the pits.
Steve?
And Mike, just to add on Matt Kenseth, he said that the tire exploded and he was right in front of the leader, so he did his best to stay out of the way.
And did a great job of that. As we look at the 3rd place battle, Jeff Gordon has caught Tony Stewart.
And just to explain that commitment cone, that's something that they put there a few years ago to keep drivers under caution from trying to play faking somebody out. You have to enter pit road to the inside of that commitment cone.
Let me go back and race the racetrack. Jeff Gordon was the 3rd place car. Tony Stewart passed him. Gordon had almost caught him back up. When we took the shot, Kane is the leader, Kyle Busch 2nd, Stewart is the new 3rd place car with Jeff Gordon 4th, Denny Hamlin 5th, Harvick, Johnson, Edwards, Vickers, and Newman the top 10. 33 cars on the lead lap at 66 laps.
It's just incredible. I mean, just thinking about all the times I raced here, how close you have to get to the wall. Now you see Tony Stewart. I mean, he starts in on the bottom of the racetrack. He's trying something a little bit different right here. But look where he comes out and almost smacks the wall when he comes off. See Jeff Gordon here, right? I mean, that is inches. Look at the gray between the wall and the racing groove.
You can go to foxsports.com/Pizza Hut to vote for your favorite driver to win and find out how you could be on your way to next year's Daytona 500.
Be sure to keep ball back down halfway. About 25 till we stop.
Be sure to keep an eye out for updates during the race to see who you, the fans, voted as the Pizza Hut fan favorite driver.
Watching Casey Kane in this 4 car, just about 3 weeks since he had that meniscus repair in his leg. You think about Denny Hamlin last year, the winning streak he got on after having surgery on the knee. They may be lined up after some of these runs these guys are having after having a little bit of knee surgery.
Casey Kane is the leader. Kyle Busch was right on Kane's bumper at the restart. He's now fallen 1.6 seconds behind.
Not bad. I have no idea what to do to go faster to keep up with him in the beginning. You know, it's just loose tight.
That's Kyle Busch.
And that's different. Normally, that's what people are saying about him. I don't know how to keep up with him on the beginning. In the beginning.
The race is young.
Oh, yes.
There you see how the interval has grown from Casey Kane back to Kyle Busch, with Tony Stewart 3.2 back in 3rd.
Now they're laying down similar lap times, 30 flat, 30.04. Stewart's right there at 97 and 02 on the Jeff Gordon. They're all very similar in lap times.
You know, as I look at Tony Stewart, Darrell talked at the top of the show about how tough this place is to win at. Mike, you talked about how it's a place that drivers want to win. When I look at Tony Stewart, I think about I think about Matt Kenseth, Kurt Busch, all past champions. In between those 3 drivers, they have 80 wins, but none of them has ever won at Darlington.
And you know what people always say? You won at Darlington? Wow. And then if you're David Pearson, you won at Darlington 10 times. Wow.
The Silver Fox is here tonight, as his fellow 2011 Hall of Fame inductee Bud Moore. Bobby Allison's here as well. Fox Saturday Baseball goes prime time beginning next Saturday night, as NASCAR on Fox will be back on Sunday at Dover Downs. NASCAR in prime time with Casey Kane leading Kyle Busch by a 2.5 seconds. And a car on the wall, it is David Gilliland. Caution's out at lap 74. And that happened right in front of the leader.
Got a right front tire down. I'm not sure if that's what caused this or not. I have to take a look at it and see, but another right front tire looks like flat.
3rd caution of the night. The first for Mike Skinner's spin, then J.J. Yaley's engine, and now Look way up at the top of the frame as Gilliland comes into view here.
Yeah, he's in it pretty early. Never was able to make the turn. Makes me think that tire was soft.
And here's the leader, Casey Kane, right behind him.
Darrell, once this wall gets you, it just won't let you go, will it?
It's like a magnet. The lady in black gets a hold of him and says, "You ain't leaving me tonight."
Boy, close call by Dave Blaney in that 36.
But you know, one of the downsides to limited amount of practice sometimes is getting that camber adjustment right, getting those tires where they don't have a problem when you don't have a lot of practice.
No free pass on this caution. Gilliland would have been eligible, but he is the caution car. That's all. Because Casey Kane passed him, and at the moment of caution, Gilliland was the first car a lap down. Pit road's open, Dick.
And Tony Stewart is going to be on pit road first. He is going to ask for a minor adjustment to the chassis. 4 tires, and Gooch Patterson's going to try to get that gas tank full.
Jeff Gordon says he was starting to lose the handle of his race car, especially on the free side off turn 2. Look for a significant adjustment for the 24 on this stop. Krista?
Kyle Busch says his car is loose and tight. They know that's a product of the setup. They know the track will also free up as the race goes on. Meanwhile, Casey Kane said his car feels good, just a little bit loose. Kenny Francis, crew chief, telling his crew, take a deep breath, boys. Let's see if we can do what we did last time, and that's get ourselves out first.
Jamie McMurray exits the pits ahead of everybody because of just 2 tires.
Montoya going with 2 tires, net 42.
Problem on the right front here. Tony Stewart's team.
Long stop for Stewart. 75 complete in the Showtime Southern 500. Was because of no brake ducts, and they melted the bead on the tire, and into the wall he went.
Yeah, he wasn't happy about that either.
There is the result.
That's what a blown out tire looks like.
Not the fault of the tire, apparently. Excess heat
to the bead.
Ready for the restart. Jamie McMurray and his teammate Montoya took only 2 tires on that caution. So McMurray and Casey Kane with Kyle Busch, Montoya, Harvick, Gordon, and Edwards.
We had run 32 laps since they were last on pit road. I think for 2 right side tires only to work, you've got to have a pretty good handling race car right now.
That's going to be a short-term gain. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a long-term loss. Of course, we have a lot of caution-looking places here, too.
Before the caution, McMurray was 12th. Montoya was 21st. They are now 1st and 5th.
But, Larry, as you crew chiefs always tell me, it's a good time to try it. Who knows?
Better now than later. See, Jimmy Johnson in the 48 car, 05 time, takes advantage of his teammate Jeff Gordon in the 24. Got loose in the middle of the corner, and Johnson takes advantage. Steve looks like the 48. Jimmy Johnson keeps moving forward.
Slowly but surely, Larry. Jimmy said this car is a handful in 3 and 4, but it's good in 1 and 2, so they tightened him up on that last pit stop.
Yeah, to get off turn 2 over there and not knock the wall down, you got to be almost loose. But then when you get down here to 3 and 4, you just can't handle it.
Well, last year, Jamie McMurray sat on the pole with that number 1, led 71 laps, finished 2nd. Here comes tonight's pole sitter. Casey Kane passed Kyle Busch and chasing after the leader. Dick?
Well, the strategy on the number 1 of Jamie McMurray is go for the win tonight. I talked to his crew chief this morning, Bono Mannion, and he said that they have absolutely gotten focused on winning. 5th is no good, 8th is no good, 10th is no good, and why they are 24th in points. They are looking for the bonus points from winning. So they stuck their necks out with a strategy, and they stuck their necks out with a chassis setup under the car.
Well, Dick, this is a driver and a team that won 3 races last year, and they only have 1 top 10 finish so far here in 2011.
And I think that was their strategy last year. Let's just go out and win some races. And they did. This year, that could be a big bonus for them. They could get one of those wild card spots if they can get back inside the top 20 in points with a win.
And winning will help them get back in the top 20 as Montoya duels with Johnson and Vickers and Gordon. Jamie Mack, the leader, whose best finish this year, 7th at Martinsville. As Larry said, that's his only top 10. Casey Kane is all over him for the front spot as Montoya and Johnson are side by side for 6th.
I know one thing. I watched everybody.
Whoa, Johnson! Did they make contact? Johnson spins.
Hang on to it, man.
Caution.
Guys. Hold on to it. He hit. Somebody tell me what I did wrong there? Not the man outside. Let's just roll. We hit anything, please. No, I did not, but I have flat spotted tires. I should probably come to you. Oh, we got to stay on the lead lap if at all possible here, but just be nice and smooth. Nice and smooth. Try to keep the fenders on it.
4th caution of the night, lap 83. Jimmy Johnson around. He and Montoya were very close. Let's see how close.
Look at this. I was just going to say, do you think, Larry, that guys are racing Montoya, giving him a little extra room tonight? Now, right there, Johnson made a little dive. It was just what happens off the corner. Did Montoya give him enough room right here? Montoya was trying to make the crossover. They made contact.
Yeah, he didn't quite complete the crossover. Jeff Gordon in that 24, Johnson's teammate, just barely slides through there.
He was anticipating that was going to happen.
And then he was committed.
And then he had better be.
And you see the paint mark and the left corner askew on Johnson's car as the result of the contact, and around he goes. Matt is in Montoya's pit.
Juan Pablo told his team on the radio that simply he apologized for the incident, but he felt like Johnson got out of the gas early and he could not avoid the 48.
Jimmy looking around, seeing where everybody is and what's going on. I mean, he did a nice job of not hitting anything.
Steve?
Well, to add on what Matt said about Juan Pablo Montoya, Jimmy Johnson didn't see it the same way. He said, would somebody please tell me what the heck I did wrong there? And Chad Canal said, hey, don't worry about it. Juan Pablo is just pissed at the whole world right now.
All right, the 48's in front of Burns.
And Mike, the big thing is they want to see what kind of damage they do or don't have on this 48 car. Jimmy said he knows that they flat spotted all 4 of those tires, so he's getting 4 new ones on the Chevrolet. Doesn't look to be any damage on the left side, just a little on the rear bumper, Mike.
So Jimmy Johnson back out. He's still on the lead lap.
You know, and I asked Mike, we all asked Mike Hilton, what about the 42 and Newman tonight? If they get into trouble with each other, we understand that because they're kind of in that situation. But if they get in trouble with someone else, they said we're watching everything they do tonight.
All right, here's what Montoya had to say after getting into the back of Jimmy Johnson.
Sorry, unlocked the front tires and everything. What happened there? Did he just lose it? Yeah, but he braked really early, and I locked the fronts trying to avoid him, and I couldn't. Did he hit anything? I don't know. I don't think we need it.
Sounds like to me Montoya knows that they are watching him as well.
Doesn't look like much damage on Juan's car at all, and minimal damage to Jimmy Johnson's on the rear bumper and corner, and of course the flat spotted tires.
Yeah, I know what Juan was trying to do. He was going to make that crossover move where you cut down underneath Johnson as he went into the corner, but he just timed it poorly.
Nice Cole Trickle imitation by Jeff Gordon, driving through the smoke and out of harm's way, and good reaction by Brian Vickers because he was almost into the back of Montoya.
There's the contact from Montoya to the 48 car, Jimmy Johnson.
For Darlington, that's cosmetic damage.
It's just getting ready to race now. We'd only been 5 laps since that last pit stop by all the drivers, so we had some drivers at the back of the pack still in trouble, still looking for adjustments that just came to pit road.
All right, let's go downstairs to the Hollywood Hotel for an AT&T race break.
Thanks, Mike. Good crowd on hand, and you talked about terrific weather. The day started with Casey Kane on the pole. We've had 5 leaders and 5 different lead changes. And for Denny Hamlin, we're watching the stripe count all night. Liked his chances, but got into some trouble early. And here's a tire problem. Contact with Ambrose and Kenseth. Kenseth penalized on pit road.
Yeah, he missed the commitment cone right there as he blew that right front tire. He came to pit road. He had to serve a penalty. Right now, he finds himself 3 laps down.
And moments ago, Jimmy Johnson came in second in points and worked up to 7th here. Montoya taps him. That crossover move, Jimmy frustrated. That's a crossover move that Darrell Waltrip once made famous here in a victory.
Oh, yeah, the big battle between him and the King right there as far as that crossover move is concerned. But for Darrell and Richard, they didn't have a crash, but this time the 48 and 42 did.
Ryan Newman and Juan Pablo Montoya started quite a ways apart, did not get near each other. NASCAR not only cautioned them about getting near each other, but as Darrell Waltrip mentioned about just being reckless with anybody. But you think this is just kind of Darlington racing, and you heard the apology from Montoya.
Yeah, it definitely right there was the case right there. I don't think anything the 42 did was necessarily intentional. And the thing is right now, but you don't know how it makes you feel. I mean, Jimmy Johnson, I'm pretty sure, is pretty frustrated.
Let's listen to his radio transmission.
All right, my man, you did get an apology up here. He said he was really sorry. He didn't mean to do that. I'm sure he is. I can tell you right now, he's a way better driver than that. So apology there.
Jimmy Johnson, who last week, remember, didn't have a great run, said he made chicken salad out of you-know-what.
Yeah, well, that was Chad Knaus making that one comment right there, not the driver.
And, of course, Jimmy swept this race in 2004. Time to check on the AT&T Fastest Pit Crew Award. We want to know what you think. Text the car number to the pit crew at T234567. AT&T, the nation's fastest mobile broadband network, is getting faster with 4G. Mike?
All right, Dave Blaney got the free pass on this caution. Most all the leaders stayed out. Top 26 Darlington stripes so far, but it's early, only 87 laps in. As Jamie McMurray, Casey Kane on the front row, Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, Edwards, Gordon, Montoya, Vickers, Stewart, Hamlin, the top 10. We're back under green.
Mike, you said that was cosmetic on the 48 car. Montoya has someone else he's got to make up with.
Kane takes the lead. Wastes no time on that one car.
Oh man, who was that?
Vickers. And there was contact with, well, we'll wait and see. But Brian Vickers got pretty well around there. Second place battle. McMurray's going to lose it to Kyle Busch.
Darrell, I think you said it. Changing just right side tires after 30 laps. Short-term game only.
Yeah, it's got to be. This is Darlington, man. You just can't do that here. I think when we have a new tire, Larry, sometimes a new combination, crew chiefs buy into maybe we can get by with 2, but it's not going to happen here. Let's go back and see what happened here with the 83.
Montoya in the 42 underneath Vickers.
Oh, that looked just a whole lot like what happened to Juan last week between he and Newman.
Let's ride with Denny Hamlin there in the white car. He had a front row seat for this one. And our Fox Exmo camera has this view of Vickers bout with the wall.
Darrell, it also had a look of what happened to Matt Kenseth while ago in that 17. Down on the flat, and the car just shoots up the racetrack.
It's just so difficult to get off of turn 2 right here where you see Dale Jr. under Montoya. You hear him have to get out of the gas. That's the 2 options you have. Hit the guy on the outside or get out of the gas.
He got out of the gas, and Joey Logano's trying to get under him because every time you lift, somebody's there to pounce.
Yeah, that's that momentum thing, man. If you have to lift, here comes somebody else that didn't, and they go sailing by.
Casey Kane has been in the wall.
It just never.
And he's pretty good. Out there all by himself, a second ahead of the field. And he bounced off the wall.
It just never ceases to amaze you. I mean, these guys are the greatest drivers in the world, but this joint will do that to anybody. Watch this.
Happened at turn 2.
All by yourself, nobody around. Hello, Wall.
He actually hit it pretty hard. It stayed against it for a little bit.
If it's any consolation, he did that last night and got away with it and came home with a good finish.
Yeah, he led 42 laps last night. Krista?
Well, he came on the radio and said, I hit the right rear pretty hard. He just came back on now and said, I just lost focus for a second. And he actually told me earlier today the key here is focus. One little mistake can do you in.
And all it takes here is looking in the mirror. I looked up to see where the 18 car was, and I hit the fence. You can't take your eyes off. You got to be focused and concentrate all the time.
Carl Edwards up for 3rd. Kevin Harvick has taken 4th from Jamie McMurray. Gordon 5th. Stewart 6th. Stewart 7th. Sponsifiers back for 2011. This year, the winning designer gets a personal visit from their favorite driver. Go online for all new ways to create, customize, and share your designs. 95 complete, and Kyle Busch is eating into Casey Kane's lead. It's down to 0.7 of a second, with Edwards 3rd and Harvick.
But when they built this race car, this new car, it's like they built it for Darlington.
Unintended consequences.
Exactly. They found everything that you tear up at Darlington, we can fix. We can do something to offset it.
Riding with Kevin Harvick. About 4 laps ago, he passed Jamie Mack to move up into 4th, Matt.
Harvick already seen the racetrack take another swing, Mike. He says that after the first 3 or 4 laps, his car comes in, but he can already sense the trend at this racetrack, like a few other drivers have already noticed. The track is freeing up. He wants to go back on their next pit stop to the air pressures that they started the race on.
Still got a long way to go, so if it keeps freeing up, there's a lot of adjustments that these drivers are going to need.
Well, on the stopwatch, he's about 1.5 tenths off of what Casey Kane, the leader, is running right now.
You'll wear out all your adjustments tonight, air pressure gauge included.
6th place. And that was McMurray almost into the wall. Dick, how's that 2-tire pit stop working out?
Well, the 2-tire pit stop is not McMurray's biggest problem, Mike. One of the major adjustments on these cars is called the track bar adjustment. That's what they can do on a pit stop to make the car handle better. Somehow or another, McMurray's track bar cannot be adjusted up. That's the direction they wanted to adjust it in order to fix the chassis. It's just a little bit too tight. They don't know why it won't adjust up, but it won't adjust up. He has gone from 1st to 5th, and maybe as much the track bar or more as the tire situation. Well, that's where he and Kevin Mannion, his crew chief, and that group, they're going to get together. What else can we do to make the car think we're adjusting that track bar?
Yeah, that and the track bar adjuster is a big bolt that this axe looks like might have seized up. They may be able to spray some kind of anti-seize on that thing, work it around a little bit, and get it where it'll free up in that turn.
He does. I believe Clint Boyer's mom's going to be pretty proud of him. You talked to her in the pre-race. He started back in 26. He has now cracked the top 10 up to 8.
I just like what Mike said about his mom. I just think it's so important to support your kids. If your passion is racing, whatever it is, horses, whatever that might be, support them and go with them. Follow your dream.
Well, here's the verdict on the 2-tire change. McMurray restarted 1st. He has fallen to 5th. Montoya restarted 5th. He has fallen to 23rd.
I'm just making an observation, but I think Montoya got a phone call because he has been very, very polite to everyone that's been around him these last several laps. He's been moving out of the way. He's been giving guys the track.
Tony Stewart for 5th. And McMurray drops to the inside. Jeff Gordon coming.
Darrell, this place, you just can't get out of the way.
That's it. I know you've never driven here, but that is an absolute fact. You want to get out of the guy's way, but you don't have anywhere to go.
And Jeff Gordon was trying for the outside. McMurray slid up in front. Gordon had to lift, and Clint Boyer's there.
And that's when you're indecisive. the guy says, are you going on the outside or are you going on the inside? Pick a lane and I can let you go, but I can't pick a lane if you're going to go all over the place.
103 laps complete, 264 to go in Darlington. Pole sitter Casey Kane out in front of Kyle Busch by about half a second. Interesting week for Martin Truex in the number 56. Last week on the radio. And here at second place, Carl Edwards moves past Kyle Busch about half a second behind the leader, Casey Kane. Edwards takes over second.
Yeah, I believe Carl Edwards and his crew, they just keep making his car a little better, a little better. You know, in the beginning, he was complaining about the splitter, the part underneath the very front of the car, hitting the racetrack. I think through a couple of pit stops, that group's getting this car better. In fact, he's got his eyeballs set now on that 4 car of Casey Kane, our pole sitter.
You know, Larry, a lot of people complain about the Cup guys running down in the Nationwide Series. And one of the things these drivers have been telling me, though, the new car that they run in the Nationwide Series is definitely more familiar, more comparable to the Cup car. And all these guys running up front are guys that raced in that race last night.
And, of course, limited practice with these Sprint Cup Series cars.
Could be a big help.
Bobby Labonte and Jimmy Johnson. Johnson, after that spin, stayed on the lead lap, and with 4 fresh tires, he is back up to 16th. Up front, Edwards is there. All over Casey Kane for the lead.
Carl Edwards is another one of those drivers. Won a lot of races, but he's never won at Darlington.
Well, he's on a tear right now. That thing is going to the front.
Clear, all clear. He gave it to you there.
That's what you're supposed to do.
You like what Casey Kane did? Rolled out of the throttle
run your race.
And let Edwards go.
You got to cut your losses right now, buddy. You got to let that guy go. Think about it. Maybe later I wouldn't do that, but right now it's okay.
So it's not a question of not wanting to race him for the lead.
You can't. You just can't. If he didn't pull over and say go ahead, you can't race him right there. He put you in that position, and he knew it.
Getting into one of the longest runs that we've had. In fact, we're only about 20 to 25 laps away from what will be green flag pit stops.
Let's take an inside look at what's happening now in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, brought to you by Sprint and HTC Evo 4G. Outside pole sitter Ryan Newman has the fastest lap of the race. Set back at lap 2, and the biggest mover is David Rudiman. Fuel your inner NASCAR fan with live in-car audio and real-time stats on NASCAR Sprint Cup Mobile and the new HTC Evo 4G, only from Sprint at sprint.com/speed.
You know, Larry, the way that the new Ford engine has been performing, the way Carl Edwards has been running, he and Bob Osborne, they've really got their act together. Not a big surprise to see this cat leading the race.
Well, we talked about it in the pre-race and earlier in the show. His wife, Kate, is we've got a battle, no longer a battle with Kyle Busch in the 18, goes by Casey Kane in the 4. But Carl Edwards' wife, Kate, gave birth to their second child. He comes to Darlington. That's off of his mind. Everybody's doing good, and here he is leading the race.
Yep, they welcomed son Michael this week. Krista?
Just an update on Casey Kane. Remember when he talked about hitting the wall, the only thing he has said since then is that he may have crushed the crush panels, put in the crush panels because it was getting hotter in the car. Right now he said it's getting a little bit loose in the front. Kenny Francis explaining if you bang up that front, sometimes it does adjust.
Casey Kane has led way more laps tonight than he has in the previous races this season since joining Team Red Bull. Carl Edwards out front, finished second here in 2007. He's previously led just 37 laps in 7 races at Darlington.
tires, Matt.
And air pressure change for Kevin Harvick. The car was too free. They're not waiting on fuel. A little bit slow on the front. He is away. Krista.
It was 2 issues for Kasey Kahne, getting hot in the car and getting tight. They're making an adjustment. He said, I screwed up the best car here. I hope you guys can fix it.
Kyle Busch first off pit road. You see the dots at Tony Stewart's position here. That's because we don't have GPS capability on his car to show you 2 or 4 tires on Stewart. Paul Menard goes around going into his pit. His crew keeps their calm and they get him serviced despite the bump just right where he landed. Brad Keselowski got into it. And had to back up to get out of his pit stall and lost 10 positions. Ready to go green, Kyle Busch, Carl Edwards, Rudiman with 2 tires, Kasey Kahne, Stewart Harvick, Gordon Boyer, McMurray, Truex, the top 10. Dave Blaney got the free pass, 30 cars on the lead lap.
Man, Larry Rudiman liked to miss that first turn.
Well, 34 laps on tires. I know Rudiman, he's had a good race car. He started all the way back in the 36th position, but that's a lot of laps just to go with 2 rights.
Jeff Gordon got a slow launch off turn number 2 and backed them all up in that second pack. There's Gordon on the outside there. I think he's up to speed now, but he did not get a good restart. And Martin Truex right with him for 10th place.
Boy, Jeff got loose right there. Did you see the back end step out? And there goes Martin in the 56 right on by.
I started earlier to tell you about Truex's week, where last Saturday night at Richmond on the team radio, he fired the whole pit crew. And they had their meetings early in the week. And as a result, Truex has new tire carriers and new tire changers going over the wall for him beginning tonight.
Hey, Mike, you know who else got fired this week? The Don. Donald Trump. He got fired from his pace car job, for heaven's sake.
But I think the replacement is very fitting.
I love who they put in. A.J. Foyt. Mr. Indianapolis.
Well, congratulations to Fred Aldis and our entire NASCAR on Fox audio department for winning this year's Sports Emmy for Best Live Event Audio. Let's let you hear it. Kyle Busch leading Carl Edwards by a second. Kasey Kahne 2 seconds back in third. Tony Stewart 2.5 back. And Kevin Harvick 3 seconds off the lead. 30 cars on the lead lap. Jeff Gordon had a slow restart, but he is now back up to pace, running in 9th, battling Martin Truex, the 8th place car.
I love it when we crank it up, Mike. It's like music. Beautiful music. It's your favorite song. Man, those guys flying by. Love it.
I mean, we talked about Jeff Gordon in his 24 car with his 7 wins here, but he's working on coming off of 7 consecutive top 5 finishes here at Darlington.
How about Jeff Gordon tonight, Matt?
Mike, the past 2 runs, he's been complaining about the car just being extremely free, and he just expressed his displeasure again with the handling of that 24 car being too free. But now he just told Alan Gusson the car is starting to come to him a little bit. They made some significant adjustments on the last 2 stops to try to get the car to swing back to the tight side.
2 spots behind him. One of his Hendrick teammates, Dale Earnhardt Jr., just outside the top 10, Dick.
Yeah, Junior started in the 30th spot, Mike, running on the 11th position right now. And with so little practice, the crew chiefs really struggled to try to figure out what they should do with the car. And Earnhardt's crew chief, Steve Letarte, put a setup under the car that came from the 24. Not Jeff Gordon's car this year, but Jeff Gordon's car in years past when Steve Letarte was the crew chief for that car. It has obviously worked. Earnhardt tonight on many laps has been faster than the leader. Remember, he started back in the 30th position. Now he's just outside the top 10 in that 88 car.
And you know, people ask me all the time with the crew chief swap, I can't say it, crew chief swap at Hendrick, who benefited the most? I think it's a toss-up, but I think Junior certainly benefited.
Certainly. David Rudeman, biggest mover in the race. Martin Truex. Dale Jr., Clint Boyer. Truex outside Rudeman. This will be for 7th place, outside inside.
Well, I think this is a case not only between teammates, but 4 tires on Martin Truex Jr. in the 56, only 2 fresh tires on David Rudeman, the 00.
And that's where you have to be committed. I'm going in there, buddy, and the guy on the outside has to know that and let him go.
Junior in 11th, right behind him, Marcus Ambrose, recovering from that early brush with Matt Kenseth. Ambrose back up to 12th now, Steve.
Listening to Marcus, Mike, he said the wedge adjustment they made on the last stop was not effective. He said my front end is not doing what it should. We're just a little bit too free getting off the corners.
Now right behind him, Denny Hamlin started 3rd, bounced off the wall on lap 2, and now Krista finds himself 13th.
Mike, they added a spring rubber on that last stop in the right rear, hoping it would help the balance in Denny's car. He said right now he has no grip on exit, though, and then came on the radio and said, you guys, the more positions I lose, the worse the car gets. Obviously, the worse he feels about it, too.
You know, Darrell, listening to all these drivers talk about their cars, I heard several drivers say this weekend that driving a tight car here, one that doesn't turn or respond, it's a little uncomfortable. But driving a loose car here where the back end's coming out is almost impossible.
Yeah, you have no control over that back end other than with the throttle. And this is, again, it's a momentum racetrack, and you got to stay in the throttle. And when that back end steps out, you know it's going to hang it into the wall, and you're going to be in bad trouble.
A couple of past Darlington winners there, Jeff Burton and Bobby Labonte. And what of Ryan Newman? Newman started outside pole, broke the track record in qualifying, raced up front, led 28 laps. And now he's back in 17th.
Yeah, he's been struggling with that car ever since really the first pit stop. They made a, I don't know if they made some sort of adjustment or didn't make enough adjustment, but he just hadn't been the same since early in the race, the first pit stop.
David Reagan, top 20 pretty much all night, 18th place for the UPS Ford.
David got his best finish that he's had in over 2 years at Richmond last week, finishing 4th.
Greg Biffle 19th, running pretty close to where he started. A trio of Fords there with A.J. Allmendinger, who we just saw was loose again off the last corner, driving Richard Petty's number 43. Just outside the top 20 is Jimmy Johnson, Steve.
Great feedback from Jimmy Johnson, Mike. He told Jack Canals the car started to get loose on that last run. I was racing too hard, and I burned the right rear off of it and almost lost it a few times. Completely my fault. So interesting feedback from Jimmy Johnson. Not the car, his own driving style.
What's interesting about that, remember last week at Richmond when Chad said you keep driving like that, you're going to burn the right rear off it. Well, Jimmy took heed.
And these guys all say, you know, the hardest thing about a Cup car is how much power it has. It will burn the right rear tire off of it because you have so much horsepower.
Mark Martin has passed Brad Keselowski for 22nd. Regan Smith, 24th. Started 23rd, had an uncharacteristic for this season. Tough day in qualifying yesterday. Right behind him is Montoya, Matt.
Tough night, Mike, for Juan Pablo Montoya in 25th. He said his car not good on 2 tires, not good on 4 tires. Contact earlier in the race with Jimmy Johnson. The car is just plowing his spotter. Tab Boyd said, it looks like you're driving it too hard into the corners.
Well, when you think about it, that's a lot what got him into the back of Jimmy Johnson in that 48 car earlier.
Yeah, and the thing about Juan, he's aggressive. He's a very aggressive driver. He makes a lot of casual contact with other cars everywhere we go. But you can't do that here. You got to lay off a guy and give him some room. And I think Juan is really backed up quite a lot here. You can see him biting the wheel. I think he's just trying to survive right now and stay away from everybody.
Right behind Montoya is Brian Vickers, who started 8th and ran up in the top 5 early in the event.
And back to Juan, that's something that if they call down from the pits or wherever and said you got to take it easy, no more contact with anybody, Juan would find him a hole to ride in and try to just stay away from everybody.
Riding with Matt Kenseth, because Kenseth is 3 laps down as a result of getting into Marcus Ambrose. The tire went down. Finally, it blew out. And to keep from crashing the leader, Kenseth had to stay up high and then missed the commit cone to come to pit road. He served a pass-through penalty, but he's had no luck getting any of those 3 laps back.
Paul Menard in the 27 car. Of course, we well documented his last trip to pit road where he spun out and lost a lot of spots. But last time off turn 4, I think we'll be able to add to our stripe count. The sparks tell the tale. That's right where the safer barrier runs out. There's just a place right along in there where the wall is concrete and you leave the safer barrier.
Harold, today Jeff showed us in pre-race the foam they put in the side of these cars, all the bracing they have. Back in the day, what did you used to put in the right side of the car so that Darlington stripe wouldn't hurt it?
This is great, Mike. You know how you knew you were running really good at Darlington back in the day? You smelled wood burning.
Wood?
Yeah, because that's what you had over on the right side to keep the fenders off the tires. So when you smelled wood, you knew you were running good.
That must have been way back in the day.
Kyle Busch, 79.
Kyle's your leader by 2.3 seconds over Carl Edwards.
What time is it? It's time to get rowdy. Keep watching NASCAR on Fox.
Son. Kids that are coming along, really young kids that have an opportunity to do what Kyle Busch has been able to do. That wasn't possible back in the day. You had to earn your stripes, you had to build your own car, you had to go through a lot of different things to get a chance to even drive one of these cars.
And wasn't Kyle Busch the rule maker inadvertently, because he could have come to Cup earlier, but NASCAR instituted a minimum age rule for its top 3 national series, just as Kyle Busch was getting his driver's license and learning to shave.
Exactly. And so they're just, these guys have opportunity, and what I love about opportunity is when you can take advantage of it. And that's where these guys have really been.
Matt Kenseth may have developed another flat tire. Remember, he's 3 laps down from the first one. Steve?
And Mike, the guys are up on the wall. They're waiting for him. He said, I think I've got yet another flat tire. They're all up on the wall waiting for him.
And I think we can stress that this is not a tire issue. If you look, it's one or two drivers that are having these problems.
Kenseth would hope to wait out for a caution, but being 3 laps down at this point, is there much to lose by coming in?
Well, you know you've already blown one right front tire, and if you blow another one, you may not be as lucky as you were that first time.
I can't get a look at the right front tire. Last time it was from contact. I don't know on this time if that's what's happened this time or not. We'll have to wait and see.
Oh, brother, where art thou? Well, I'm right behind you as Kyle Busch is about to put his brother Kurt Busch in that 22 car a lap down. Remember, Kurt crashed in practice yesterday. This is a backup car with little to no laps before this race.
And Steve, he's already been into the wall with this number 22.
Yeah, they didn't get any track time on that 22. You know, it's pretty well documented that last week he was livid in that race car. Tonight, he hasn't been happy with that car at all from the green flag. His language hasn't been near as colorful as it was last week, but still not happy with the performance of that race car.
And Steve, to his defense, that car is handling evil. I mean, it's been sideways more than it's been going straight.
Last Saturday night was a tipping point for Kurt Busch and his Penske team. New communication opened up, new procedures, some engineers at the racetrack that he's not seen at the racetrack for quite a while, and things are on the mend. So their poor performance tonight, I think, can be traced to the fact that they had no practice at all in this car, and they're just trying to get through the weekend, make the best of a bad situation here.
Yeah, that's what happened to them. I mean, nothing worked in their favor. They wrecked their primary car. They get a backup out. The only lap they got was qualifying. So they're working. This is a work in progress in this race.
So their hope is that when we get to Dover last week, this slide from the top of the point standings to close to the bottom of the top 10 can be ended, and they can put some good runs under their belt.
Well, the All-Star race is coming.
Yes, it is.
It was pretty stout there last year.
Kyle Busch the leader over Carl Edwards by 1 second.
We'll see an epidemic breakout because you can't stay out there on old tires versus all these full fresh tires.
Oh, yeah, when you get 4 Mr. Feelgoods on there, look out. You'll run over somebody.
Allmendinger and Quapple in pit lane. And here comes the leader, Kyle Busch, along with Ryan Newman, Jeff Burton, coming down pit road. Brad Keselowski in as well. Carl Edwards is there. And pit road is going to be a busy place. Here comes Harvick and Kane, all in for service at lap 176. Matt?
A little bit of cosmetic damage, Mike, that left rear corner. Track bar adjustment already completed. They also dialed in some rear brake that last time. Steve.
They're going to add some tape to the front end of that 99. Krista.
Kyle Busch saying he started out free, got tight, but the car is maneuverable. He said, I can figure things out.
Martin Truex has spun trying to enter pit road. He missed the commit cone. If he comes in now, it's a penalty. So he has to go around to avoid the penalty.
We missed it. You're clear to go up. Clear all the way up.
Remember, Mike, one of our UPS logistics, it's not the pits, it's getting on the pit road under green. He had taken the lead through the cycle of green flag stops. It just sneaks up on you.
Just locked him up trying to get onto pit road.
You can see the front rotors just glowing trying to get the thing wound up. Down there is dirty. A lot of sand and dirt down on the apron. It's really difficult to get the thing turned into the pit lane.
Krista.
Denny Hamlin in saying the car is tight, mainly on exit.
Flat right rear for Truex in that spin. Going to have to be a little careful bringing it around to get to pit road. Dale Jr. in. Bobby Labonte takes over the lead.
Darrell, that's classic Martin Truex Jr.'s season in 2011. Fast race car, something happens, sometimes self-inflicted.
Truex is in the pit lane. He'll make it to his box. Tommy Baldwin's car, Dave Blaney in with him. And Kyle Busch goes back to the lead. Service on Labonte's car. Kristen.
Well, Mike, there may have been a predicator. Martin Truex had come on the radio before the rest of the field made pit stops and said, I'm out of tires. They had planned to pit in 2 laps, and then the tires, I'm assuming, gave way because that's what he had said on the radio. I'm out of tires.
That could very well happen. I was watching that car. It had a lot of front brake in it. The rotors were glowing hot. That means there's not a lot of rear brake in it. And the way it snapped around, Larry, it did look like maybe a soft right rear.
This will take Truex off the lead lap, though. He'll be a lap down along with Keselowski, Montoya, and Allmendinger. All the lead lap cars have pitted. 20 cars now on the lead lap as we close in on halfway. There is first to second after the pit stops. Busch and Edwards, 2.5 seconds is the separation.
You know, Mike, I think the real winner on that set of green flag pit stops, Clint Bowyer in that 33 car right there. They have now cracked the top 5 after starting this race in 26th.
His mom is here. He wants to impress her.
Dick?
Well, Bowyer has picked up all those spots, Mike, not by doing things like taking 2 tires here and there, but by getting the car faster and faster and faster. His lap times have improved all night long. Bowyer has gone from starting 26th to a contender to win this thing.
And in the points, he's come from 24th to 7th in the last 5 races.
It's a tire off of Martin Truex Jr.'s car off the 56. Of course, we're sure a lot of that happened when he spun it, possibly getting down on the pit road.
I agree, Larry. Let's listen to what he had to say.
At the cone, think about where the cone is coming this time. We spun, come on. We got to go around the track one time, Pat. We missed it. Holy crap, it's slick down there. I had no idea it'd be that bad.
A big spin for Martin Truex, and he'll now have to fight back. He is the 4th car 1 lap down. Right now, Brad Keselowski is in the free pass position.
It's just a shame he couldn't listen to our pre-race show. And he would know that it's slick down there, right, Larry?
That part, that's another thing about Darlington that has not changed.
That's what Pearson said about this joint. He said it might look different from the outside, but it's the same old Darlington on the inside.
And he was the best. 12 poles, 10 victories here for the Silver Fox, David Pearson, who goes into the NASCAR Hall of Fame later this month. Halfway in the Showtime Southern 500 as we continue under green.
Definitely was pretty hard.
It is, and you know, he was wiggling the car around. I think he must have thought maybe I got a flat tire, and he was wiggling around trying to see if everything was all right.
You know, Darrell, when you're trying to run these speeds here, you have to push so hard, but the fine line is finding where pushing too hard is. You know, stepping across the line, because what'll happen is exactly what we just saw with Carl Edwards.
Yeah, there is no way for a driver to predict that the car's going to jump out from under him exiting one of these corners. You can be doing it the same every lap, same every lap, same every lap, and then all of a sudden, for whatever reason, she snaps loose.
Now here's Kevin Harvick. He's the 3rd place car, but in front of him are a group of cars battling.
It's all good. It's all good. Keep rolling.
Group of cars battling to be the first car one lap down, so he may have a tough time picking his way through that crowd as Vickers goes alongside Allmendinger. That's 24th, one lap down. Along with Truex and Montoya, they're trying to get to that free pass position.
And just look at, when we look in the eyes of these drivers when they're out there racing like they are tonight, the focus, the concentration, they don't even blink. And that is something that just people don't realize how difficult this is.
Clint Boyer trying to make a little noise. In 5th, now he is 2.5 up on Tony Stewart, Dick.
Yeah, Stewart's problem, Mike, is that the nose of the car has been bouncing off the racetrack. A car that was almost perfect at the beginning of this event, and he is struggling with it.
Right now, the 7-time winner here at Darlington, Jeff Gordon, runs 7, just trying to survive. His car still on the free side. He says every time he tries to pick up the throttle, it starts to go sideways off turn 2 and turn 4.
Thanks, Matt. Jamie Mack is 8th after overcoming the 2-tire change, and not sure if they ever got that track bar adjustment bolt to work.
You know, my guys are telling me that the drivers kind of across the board right now are all complaining about their cars being really loose. A lot of them are saying it's like there's something on the racetrack.
Denny Hamlin hasn't had the night he hoped for. He told us earlier in the day he had the best car here, and then on lap 2 got in the wall. But he's fought his way back up into the top 10. I don't think we've seen the last of Mr. Hamlin tonight.
I don't either, Mike. When you can hang around, that's all you want to do right now, hang around.
Speaking of hanging around, Marcos Ambrose in this 9 car, good qualifying effort yesterday, qualified 6th. He's hanging in the top 10, sitting 10th right now, about a half a lap down to leader Kyle Busch.
And he's been on a bit of adventure. We saw him earlier get knocked sideways off turn 2 over there, but he's hung on to it, kept the pace. That's the thing, that's a word we don't say a lot. You got to keep pace. Whatever the pace is, you got to try to run within whatever the competition's running.
Nice run for Joey Logano in 11th place. And he is lapping 2 or 3 tenths quicker than his teammate, race leader Kyle Busch, right now. Dale Jr. in 12th. Didn't qualify well, 30th. Running in the top dozen.
This is kind of the way Dale Jr.'s been racing this year, though. Just kind of keeping up with everybody and taking advantage of other people's mistakes, because he hadn't made a lot of mistakes this year. Dick?
Junior's car just a little bit loose, Mike. They promised him they're going to fix it on the next pit stop.
Let's see if we can see his hands there. You see his car looks snug right there. Snug, snug. Got a lot of wheel in it. Turning it pretty hard left up off the corner. If it's loose, it's not very loose.
You can hear him driving it with the throttle about as much as with the steering wheel.
Yeah, that's what you do. Once the tires go off a little bit, the track gets slick, you got to work that throttle. Oh, it's loose there, though. I saw that.
Greg Biffle up to 13th. He started back in 22nd, then an up and down night for the Biff. Right now running 29.80s, and that's a little quicker than the leader.
One thing it's hard to explain to the folks at home, I think, but when we talk about a car being pushy loose, you got so much left turn into it that when it front does bite, the back snaps around.
Jimmy Johnson right now is in 14th place. He's 22 seconds off the lead. And let's take a ride around the track that's too tough to tame with Mr. 5-time. In the number 48 Lowe's Chevy, and fans, use your Lowe's consumer credit card to take 5% off every day.
You can hear him on the throttle, playing with it a little bit there off turn 2, wide open. What's that engine singing?
I want to try something a little different there, man.
Crew chief, give him a little information. Right at that, look, there's no gray between the wall and the groove in the middle of the 3 and 4.
Had a big scare down off the hill.
Behind Johnson, about 2 seconds, comes Bobby Labonte. And Labonte, the 2000 winner here, running 15th, running about 30 seconds flat, and that's competitive time among the top 15 right now. Mark Martin, 16th place. He started 28th. He's running a little quicker than Labonte, about half a tenth faster. Trails him by a second. And behind him is the outside pole sitter, Matt.
Mike, before the race started, Ryan Newman, one of his big concerns was getting stuck mid-pack in traffic because the cars here are just so aero-sensitive. He said you'd be surprised, and that's exactly where he's running now. The previous run, as the 18 is coming down pit road, the car was tight. Now he says it's really loose.
Kyle Busch had been several tenths slower than the rest of the leaders. What's up, Krista?
Kyle Busch had mentioned a possible vibration. He had both tire changers, Nick Odell and Jake Seminara, up on the pit box asking and talking to Dave Rogers. Then he just came on the radio and said, we're gonna have to come. The crew sprang into action. He just came on the radio and said, it's a rear wheel.
It's been about 25 laps since that green flag stopped that he made back on lap 176. We're only about halfway through this run here. See Carl Edwards in the 99 on the left-hand side of the screen takes the lead.
When you got a wheel and you know it's loose, you got to pit, because the same thing happened to him at Texas, I think it was. They had a wheel loose. It vibrated so bad it messed up the studs, and they could never get the wheel all the way tight after that.
So Kyle Busch, who won here handily last night and has been out in front of this field for 52 laps tonight, has to make an unscheduled pit stop. And the team looking things over. Carl Edwards, the new leader. Kevin Harvick up to second. Casey Kane, Clint Boyer, and Tony Stewart, the top five.
Back has led the most laps tonight, of course coming off the win of last week, but some problems, now a lap down.
The key thing you get in here when you take a look at this 18 car, they had a loose wheel on the 18. He felt the vibration. They elected to come to the pit road. If they hadn't, they probably would have broken the wheel, hit the wall, put themselves out of the race. So necessary call, but this is the kind of mistakes you can't afford to make. Chris.
And he's the kind of guy you can't count out. He's gone back-to-back victories only one other time in his career. That was back in 2008. Let's talk now about Kevin Harvick, who's right behind Carl Edwards. So speaking of not counting a guy out with Kyle Busch, the only two-time winner so far this year.
This is a driver that I think a lot of people expected to be pretty good here today, but he's only finished, second. 2003. The big thing is he hasn't had a top 10 finish in like the last 7 races here at Darlington, so he's been a little bit snake bit. Tonight they needed to turn it around. He's been very methodical. He's not really raced anybody but the racetrack. If you look at that race car, it's clean right now. He's not been up against outside safer barrier, so right now he has run a picture-perfect race, and I basically got Carl Edwards in the sight.
And the pole sitter Casey Kane, we mentioned that of his 11 career wins, 5 of those have come from the pole, but we haven't had a pole sitter win this year, and in the last 21 Darlington races the pole sitter hasn't won.
It's very difficult. I don't know what it is about being up front, but if a guy can pull it off, so far the numbers say that Casey Kane can do it. He's in perfect position right now. He's once again, I think, got back in a good rhythm. I think they got the car back under him like he needs to have it at this point in the race. So now it's going to be up to the pit crew and Casey just to keep it off the safer barriers and make the right moves on pit road.
102 races for Dale Earnhardt Jr. since his last victory. Keep saying they're getting a little bit better, and he came in 4th in points, so he's been steadily increasing. Last year this time he was 8th in points, but he feels like he's closer to a victory. Some problems here with the wheel.
Well, I think right now you're watching what happens here at Darlington. The car bobbles right there in the middle of the corner. He almost gets another Darlington stripe, but he's able to control this 88 car. And Chris, right now they're doing what they need to do. They've still got a long ways to go. We've got almost 149 laps to go in this race. You need to keep working on it. He's racing the racetrack. trying to be smart. Steve Letart's still coaching him, saying, hey, just be smooth, tell me what the car needs. They're making the right adjustments. He's still putting pressure on number 10, on the guy in 10th place, who happens to be Joey Logano. I think before the end of the night, he will crack the top 10.
Current standings for the fastest pit crew and how you voted so far. You can get in on the action. Text the car number to who you think will average the least amount of time on pit road. AT&T, the nation's fastest mobile broadband network, getting faster with 4G. We had 5 cautions, Mike, in the first 125 laps. It's been green flag racing since, and the appropriate attire for tonight is stripes. And the people who are wearing most of them are trailing this mare.
That's true. And Carl Edwards out in front by 1.8 seconds.
Caution. Jimmy Johnson,
48.
48's resting on the apron off of 4. Keep it rolling.
Johnson trying to
outside
hold as much speed as possible to the caution flag.
Fenders on it.
Look at that wheel shaking. The tires are flat.
6th caution flag of the night, lap 222.
That's not the caution that Kyle Busch wanted to see. We were about 8 to 10 laps from green flag pit stops. Just up high and started spinning before even got even close to the middle of turn 4.
There is just so little room up there. I can't believe there's just hardly any room for error right up next to that wall off that corner.
Here it is.
Hang on to that thing, man. Coming to your outside there. Hang on to it. Caution's out. Keep it rolling. Keep it rolling. Speed's coming off the 4.
I don't know anyone in this business that controls a car that's completely sideways like Jimmy Johnson does. You notice when that car came to a stop, it was pointed in the right direction. He needed to grab a gear, and he got going. Pit stops, Dick.
And Tony Stewart has said nothing more about the nose of the car bouncing off the racetrack. They're going to make a minor chassis adjustment. And Steve.
Dick, they're going to reverse an air pressure adjustment they made on the 99 on the last stop. They're also going to take the wedge out of the right rear. Matt?
Kevin Harvick pits in the 2nd position. They're not going to wait on fuel. Slight air pressure change in the left front. He needs the car to turn better in the center. Krista.
Casey Kane's crew making an adjustment, a wedge adjustment to help the back end of the car, but Casey's more concerned with the front end. They're going to continue to work on the fenders from when he hit the wall earlier, but Casey feels like he has just been given a second chance in this race.
Edwards, Kane, and Harvick away.
Larry, would the 18 take the wave around here?
Well, I don't know, Darrell. I was just sitting here studying that because very well may be. He's only got 15 laps on the tires. Why not take a chance?
There's the race off pit road. Edwards out first. Casey Kane second. Lap for pulling up to pit. On that caution, we had 95 consecutive green flag laps before this caution flag for Jimmy Johnson's spin. And at the caution, Brad Keselowski was just ahead of Martin Truex for the free pass, which was given to Keselowski. Back under green, Edwards, Harvick, Kane, Stewart, Gordon, Boyer, McMurray, Hamlin.
And to follow up on what DW asked me before we went to break about Kyle Busch, they did come to pit road with that 18 car, and they did make a pit stop. I think they've got a lug stud issue where they had that loose wheel.
Yeah, I saw him like it had a thread chaser back there trying to run the thread back out on it. Krista, what'd they say?
Exactly right, DW. They were chasing the studs on that left rear. That's where they had the problem before. They want to make sure they don't get into any trouble later. So just to be safe, they came in and checked that left rear and chasing the studs on that.
So Kyle Busch restarts 26th.
Spin on the 4, green is still out. A lot of smoke. The 22 is resting on the apron.
That's spinner is Kurt Busch. He's down out of harm's way. Can he get going again? He does. We stay green. What a tough 2 weeks it has been for Penske Racing and Kurt Busch. Here's what happened.
It's just that same spot, almost where Jimmy Johnson got loose. That gets so slick up there this halfway through the race that, man, you got to be hooked up when you run through that part of the track.
You know, quite honestly, it's been a long year. I know they came in here 6th in the points, but ever since they left Daytona, winning the Gatorade Dual Race and the Budweiser Shootout, like Kurt said, all we've been doing is finishing laps. We have not been performing.
Yeah, in his defense, Larry, I've said this earlier, that car's been out of control. I don't know how he's hung on to it this long.
Steve?
Yeah, Mike, to add on what DW just said, Kurt Busch came on the radio and said it just got wicked loose, and it was all of a sudden gone.
Wow. Tony Stewart, Clint Boyer, 5th and 6th. Kurt Busch has come to pit road after that slide, and Kyle Busch is flying through this field.
Well, what he wants to do is fly up through there right now early and catch Brian Vickers in the 83 and Martin Truex Jr.
And there's Vickers. And there's Reagan. What's going on here?
Let it roll. I'm going to get 4 tires, a little bit of front end damage.
Look at the whole left side of the 83 car is gone. I mean, it's just ripped off, hanging on by a thread there.
Like he was hit with a can opener. Vickers saying he caught him in the left rear.
I mean, it has ripped the entire left side of that car about off.
Looks like the 6 car's in not too bad a shape. He's got flat tires, but he doesn't look anything like this. It's a perfect Darlington car.
Well, here's what happened. Now, Martin Truex is the free pass position car, the 56, the Napa car. Vickers trying to get there, gets into Reagan instead. Oh, boy.
Right here is where he rips the side out of that thing.
All that blue foam, if you remember, Jeff Hammond in the pre-race talked about that energy absorbent foam in the left and right side. That's what you saw flying out of there.
Want to ride with David Reagan?
I've never seen a car do that, I don't think.
And
neither had he.
I wonder if you would you have any spare foam in your pit box in your crash cart?
I know where some's at. Jeff Hammond, get it out of the cutaway car.
I mean, how many times would you have to replace the foam inside your door?
That may not be something that they have spare.
I don't think so. I believe that's going to the garage.
And that's where Vickers is headed, to the garage area. And it's the NASCAR. Well, here's another look from the DirecTV blimp. Left of your screen.
Vickers just got such a great run in that 83 versus Reagan in the 6.
Yeah, Reagan probably had to pedal it a little bit coming up off that corner. Got a big push in it. When you do, here comes the other guy, and there comes Vickers a whole lot faster. I don't know how you explain that one, Larry.
That's a first there, I believe.
Now, to be to NASCAR's discretion, how much of that car they'd have to put back together for Vickers to be allowed back out on the racetrack.
Well, I think they're going to what Darrell's point, they're going to make that foam and probably a door skin be in place. You maybe not have to have a quarter panel, maybe not a fender, but you're going to have the door.
1:36 to go. David Reagan gets together with Brian Vickers. one more look at it. This is hard to believe.
I love Dale Jr. You got a way about him. It's calm. That was comical. Actually, the 83 car actually saved the 6 from shooting back across the racetrack in front of oncoming traffic.
Martin Truex Jr. did get the free pass, so it's Edwards, Harvick, Kane, Gordon, Stewart with Boyer, McMurray and Earnhardt, Ambrose and Mark Martin, the top 10. 20 cars on the lead lap. Kyle Busch, the first car 1 lap down.
That's what we were talking about just before that caution. He was about 2 cars away from being the first car a lap down.
Whoa, that's tight right there. Woo! See what happened to Edwards. He had to get out of the gas, and look at this.
Harvick breaks out. Here comes Kane and Gordon.
Trying to run off turn 2 over there side by side with the 29 car. Carl just couldn't hang.
It's got to make Kevin Harvick and that 29 group feel good. You heard Jeff Hammond earlier say this has not been one of Kevin Harvick's better racetracks.
You know, when he qualified as well as he did, that was a pretty good indicator, I think, that he was going to run pretty well tonight.
Let's check in on your Pizza Hut fan favorite. That'd be Jeff Gordon by your vote. Top 5. 4th place for Gordon.
That's like Carl Edwards in that 99. He is regrouped, and he looks to be a bit faster than Casey Kane in the 4, but I think he's doing a good job of picking and choosing where he wants to try to make his move.
Well, it's just so hard to set a, you got to set a guy up to pass him. And Steve, what are they saying down there?
Just what Larry said, DW. Spotter Jason Hedleski for Carl Edwards said, way to race smart. Race smart, race the racetrack.
Guys, this racetrack is getting some speed. We got trouble here with Joey Logano in the 20 on the front stretch.
Almost saved it, but he got into the wall with the left front hard, and we are under caution again. And his teammate, Kyle Busch, gets the free pass.
That was why they elected to come in and work on the car earlier, because they knew they'd probably get themselves in this position.
Now, Joey Logano, he had worked his way to the top 10, but he was one of about 6 drivers that elected to come to pit road that last caution.
The left rear corner of that car. Wondered if he had some help or what happened. Let's see here.
He's down under Marcos here in the 9. He makes contact right there.
How many times have we seen that tonight?
Yeah, it just gets out from under him. He tries to get off of the 9. He can't. Gets out from under him, and he makes heavy contact right there.
There's 2 that contact twice.
I tell you,
Logano going around. Wheels are locked.
Oh, a lot of people have bounced off of Marcos tonight. Not of his own making.
Nope.
There have been people all over him, but he's been able to survive pretty well.
Kenny Hamlin's view. I think that's about the 3rd one that Regan Smith has shot right away from and missed. Under tray damage. Front splitter.
You know, earlier in the race, before it got dark, we were talking about this place gaining grip. And what I was about to say just before that happened is Kevin Harvick, pretty much Dale Earnhardt Jr., Mark Martin, they just run the fastest laps that they've run in this race.
Few takers on pit road, led by Mark Martin, Bobby Labonte, Marcus Ambrose, Greg Biffle, Regan Smith, Clint Boyer. Everyone else stayed out. 127 laps to go in Darlington County. Under caution for the 8th time, Joey Logano slides up into Marcus Ambrose, bounces off the inside wall.
no debris will go inside there. But the one thing I noticed, it looked like maybe there was some damage to the window net. I saw him running around with the window net down on that car. If these brackets were torn away, you cannot race without a window net. Again, driver safety, very important, guys.
Thanks, Jeff. Vickers still under repair in the garage area as we go set to go green with 20 lead lap cars. Kyle Busch in 20th. Harvick, Kane, Edwards, Gordon, Stewart, and Earnhardt 5th and 6th. Then McMurray, Newman, Hamlin, and Jeff Burton the top 10.
The cream of the cream is starting to rise just a little bit to the top.
124 laps to go. Harvick scoots away.
Okay, side by side, holding each other up. All right, the 4 just clear the 24. All good. Get your marks.
Kane clear in 2nd. The fight's for 3rd. Edwards underneath Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart in the 14 looking on.
Just so hard to complete that pass on the bottom because that driver on the top side can keep it wound up.
Yeah, and you just got so much wheel in it when you're coming off the corner like that. It's hard to make it stick.
Sprint users have spoken. We're going to ride shotgun with Dale Earnhardt Jr. Brought to you by Sprint and HTC Evo 4G. Fan with live in-car audio, real-time stats on NASCAR Sprint Cup Mobile and the new HTC Evo 4G. Go to sprint.com/speed.
Mike Clary, if you want to watch somebody and you'll open your eyes every once in a while to be sure what you're seeing, what you're seeing. This is a ooh-ah, you got to be kidding me. You can't do that. Look at this cat.
Unless you're Kyle Busch.
Down in the corner he goes, and he just dives her down on the apron, slides right up in front of Casey Mears. See ya.
He is not hesitating, is he?
No, he isn't. And he is committed.
That's a power move right there.
Yeah, Spotter says, watch the 18 down there.
He is 19th. Kyle Busch. David Reagan 20th. 20 cars on the lead lap.
Mike, here's a driver that is on the move. Jeff Burton in that 31 car right there, qualified in 24th. Early in the race, he about went a lap down. Remember, he had this race won a year ago and had a penalty on pit road for running over an air hose. Won this race here twice. He's cracked the top 10 up to 9th.
Steve?
The biggest problem Jeff Burton has had, Mike, is he said since the start of the race, he said, I just can't get this car to turn, but they've stayed at it for this entire race. Much better now for Jeff Burton.
And that makes sense, Larry. I mean, everybody, for the most part, is complaining about I'm loose. His car was really, really tight, and that's really playing into his hands because of the way the track conditions are.
Kevin Harvick trying to drive away from the field. He leads Casey Kane by 1.3 seconds.
Look at this. He's looking over the mirror, seeing where Casey Kane is. Focus on this corner. Eyes get a little bit bigger when you get right in the middle of the corner right here. Got to get a good look at it. Hand-eye coordination. Work that thing up off the corner. Got the throttle down. Don't cheer him playing with the throttle right now. Got good grip. Keeping an eye on the guys behind him.
83.
His lap time 28.83 seconds. That's the 83 you heard. Casey Kane at an 84. Jeff Gordon an 89.
Richard Childress Racing, they have 8 Darlington wins, all with Dale Earnhardt Sr., but the last time Richard Childress Racing won at Darlington, 1994.
Harvick has led only 16 laps in 14 prior Darlington races. Finished second here in 2003 and sixth last year.
Harvick's had a real good knack, though, Larry, for winning at places that he hadn't won at, or Richard hadn't won at, California, Michigan, other racetracks. So maybe tonight's the night for the 29 car.
Saw Clint Boyer listed in 11th. He was one of the drivers that elected to come to pit road under that last caution, the caution before the last one, because that set of tires, he said the car just would not turn.
And like last Saturday night, Casey Kane is right there. He finished third at Richmond, and tonight's pole sitter and track record holder in second, 1.3 seconds off the lead. Jeff Gordon, Matt, is 2 seconds back of Harvick.
Making progress on that 24 machine, Mike. Gordon says the car's still too tight on entry into turn 3, loose everywhere else, but it is getting better. So that's good news for Gordon fans as he runs third, looking for an 8th Darlington win.
Sometimes you go into turn 3, you get a good run off of 2, you go down into 3 pretty fast, pretty hard, and some of that tight going in can be riding the brake, because you got to break the thing down hard to keep it from running up there and hitting that outside wall.
Carl Edwards keeping pace with the leader in 4th, Tony Stewart. Same lap times as Edwards in 5th, 3.5 seconds back. And Dale Earnhardt Jr. started the night 30th at a track where he doesn't feel he really gets great finishes, but here he is in the top half dozen.
The driver that started on the outside of the front row, Ryan Newman in that 39, led some laps, fell way back, but Matt starting to make a march back toward the front.
Larry Mack, he has just about seen it all tonight on both ends of the spectrum. Bad loose, bad tight. He says the car is getting better, not responding though as much as he would have liked to the adjustment on the last stop, but he has inched back into the top 10. Krista?
Right behind him, Matt, Denny Hamlin. Denny said yesterday his car, he said he was cautiously optimistic about it. He knew it was good, but they have had to fight through some adversity tonight. Right now, the splitter, he said, getting into the racetrack, that's what they have been working on. But Mike Ford said Denny Hamlin reminds him of Bill Elliott, the way he can manage his tires and equipment. Don't count him out tonight.
Behind him, Jeff Burton in 9th, 8 seconds off the lead, a 2-time Darlington winner.
Yeah, Mike, when you think about people that should run well here, should be able to win here, should get good finishes here, you got to start looking at people like Jeff Burton. Lots of experience here.
Now, Jamie McMurray, we're told they were not able to fix that track bar adjustment on McMurray's car, so he continues in 10th, Clint Boyer in 11th.
But you know, back to McMurray in that one, what those guys did is when they did that 2-tire stop on the 3rd caution at lap 73, yeah, it was a short-term gain as far as staying up the front, but they gained track position and they've been able to maintain it all night.
Regan Smith chasing Boyer. He's had a good night. Worst qualifying effort of the year. He started 23rd, but he's hung around the top 15, missed a couple of wrecks, and now battles Boyer for a spot in the top dozen. Brad Keselowski took advantage of a free pass to get back up on the lead lap at lap 222. So here, some 40 laps later, he's running 13th.
Having a much better night than his teammates, I'll say that.
Jimmy Johnson's a lap down. We've pretty well documented his troubles tonight. He's in 21st place. Martin Truex. And nice recovery for Martin after missing pit road, sliding through and being a lap down. And we have a clarification on the pit crew member change. Although the team sent out a release saying that all 4 tire changers and carriers were being replaced. Only the front changer and carrier were changed. The rear 2 are still there from last week, and the new hires moved over from Ryan Truex's, Martin's younger brother, from the Nationwide Series.
Kyle Busch still back there running 3 wide by himself every once in a while.
Just entertaining himself.
But he's back on the lead lap. That's the important thing, Larry.
And he's passing people.
Yes.
And he's not happy until he gets back in the lead.
Krista?
Entertaining indeed. He came in on lap 241. They checked the right side for any damage, just wanting to play it safe, saying that he had no grip also. But you know what's funny about Kyle is he said he is better at something now than he used to be, especially at this track. And it's a word we don't often think of with Kyle, but he says it's true. It's patience. He's going to need it here tonight.
He moves up into the top 15 and keeps coming.
He displayed a nice bit of patience last night here and was able to win. So I guarantee you they'll have to deal with him when they get down to the end here.
Greg Biffle in 17th, started 22nd tonight. And Bobby Labonte, who has been near some of the skirmishes, carrying the colors of the Armed Forces Foundation.
But he's had a really nice night, Mike, all things considered. He's been in the top 15 most of the night, hanging around right now, looking like a seasoned veteran that he is.
See Mark Martin in the 5 car there in the 19th position, still on the lead lap. A lot of these drivers, they were on pit road under that last caution when Joey Logano spun out on the front stretch.
And David Reagan, who was involved in that crash with Brian Vickers. Reagan is the last car on the lead lap, 30 seconds off the lead in 20th place. That takes you through our lead lap cars. The 1 lap down cars are Jimmy Johnson, A.J. Allmendinger, Paul Menard, David Rudeman, Juan Montoya, Casey Mears, and Dave Blaney. Kevin Harvick is your leader. He is 1 second ahead of Casey Kane with 101 laps to go.
Is Kevin Harvick faster than a speeding bullet? Find out only on NASCAR on Fox.
Changes, a rash of cautions recently, and Kevin Harvick, whose last 3 wins came on tracks he had never won on before. Martinsville, California, Michigan, trying to do well here. His best finish second in 2003.
The thing is right now, it seems like Kevin, when he comes to these racetracks where he struggled, he really focuses and really looks at what he needs to work on. And so far, again, look at the race car, Chris. Not a lot of damage, not anything as far as any kind of contact, not only with other competitors, but more importantly, he's been respecting the racetrack tonight, and so far, he's been managing it to a T. I mean, he's been nailing it.
So Casey Kane, Jeff Gordon follow, and then moving up to 4th, Tony Stewart, who feels like he should have a couple of wins already this season. It's been frustrating for Stewart-Haas Racing in the W column.
Well, it's been even more frustrating because Tony's never won here at Darlington. He's just like Kevin Harvick. He wants to do well at Darlington and put it in the win column. And so far, look at his lap times. Looks to me like Darian Grubb and his 14 crew have really got this car dialed in. He's running faster than the leader right now. This late in the race, he could wind up being a challenger.
Last week said his team wasn't good. He was calm on the radio and has maintained his poise. Meanwhile, Edwards running 5th, but Ryan Newman, who came into the race, a lot of talk about Juan Pablo Montoya. They were both cautioned to stay away from each other. They haven't been near each other, but Newman, who came in the top 10 in points, currently running 7th.
Well, they've had it like an up and down night a little bit. He started up on the outside of the front row. He led early on, but it looked like they lost the handle on the car. They finally got it back a little bit better. But for this organization, Stewart-Haas as a whole, having both of these cars running solid tonight, especially after all the controversy from Richmond, it shows they are seriously a contenders for the chase as far as later on this year if they can keep this up all night long.
Green flag pit stops are coming. What should we look for?
Well, hopefully no mistakes getting on the pit road. We've already seen how treacherous it is getting on this pit road, and a lot of these guys are going to try to make us some time by hustling the pit road. But they got to remember, it's very, very slick.
And taking a look at the current standings, AT&T customers Reply OK when prompting to receive. AT&T, the nation's fastest mobile broadband network, and with the 14 and Tony Stewart is our Dick Burke.
And Tony Stewart's pit stop was planned. They made a minor chassis adjustment to it. Let's move Patterson to the gas. They waited for all the gas to get in. Steve with a 5.
Smoke out of the back of the 5-car of Mark Martin. Ironically, he had just said, I'm trying to baby it, trying not to use it up, being very careful, but he is headed to his pit box. Saw the smoke trailing out of the 5.
Yeah, Steve, I was watching him, and he just goes into turn 3 here, down on the bottom, and the car just takes off, slams that outside wall hard right there. Made heavy contact with the outside wall.
Caution is out for debris. Lap 279.
Not what Tony Stewart and that 14 group wanted to see. Just hadn't made their green flag pit stop.
Larry Stewart, though, might be the free pass car.
Sorry about that here, bud. It'll be all right, though.
We'll see here if indeed he's the first car 1 lap down, or if it was Jimmy Johnson. We'll wait for NASCAR scoring. And there is the debris, which we feel may have been from Mark Martin's car.
Either way, Tony Stewart can't lose. He's either going to be the free pass car, or he'll for sure take the wave around.
Oh, yeah, the wave around will be perfect for him. I mean, he just made a stop. That's what it's for, really, or one of the things it's for.
Paul Menard out, and may have been a crewman bumped or brushed back on pit road there. I'll show you what happened in Menard's pit. Got to get that tape off the grill. Whoa. It was more than a bump. Pit road is open, Dick.
And Dale Earnhardt Jr. has had a nice time getting into his pit. There is no one pitting behind him, so it's easy for him to get in. Steve.
Carl Edwards says he's gotten tight at both ends, Dick. They've already made an air pressure adjustment trying to help him turn, Matt.
And Kevin Harvick said he doesn't want to be any tighter because his car was good near the end of that run. No changes on the Bud Chevy. Krista?
On the last stop, Casey Payne's team made a wedge adjustment. Casey said, yeah, I'd like some more of that. And don't forget about the front end. Still working on that fender damage from earlier. It's a 4-tire stop. Casey Payne's crew has been really good tonight. They were again.
Casey Kane wins the race off pit road over Harvick and Edwards.
Pit road just have been a little bit treacherous here the last few minutes. Watch this. Routine so far, everything looking pretty good.
Watch right in this area right here. The gas man.
Tires are on. Jackman drops a jack. He forgot to see if the gas man was finished or not. He's finished now.
It's Brad Pickens who gasses a 24 car.
Wow. $86 laps to go in Darlington. So many things have happened. So much more to go.
Slicing and dicing, man.
But there's Casey Kane in that 4. Got that run off turn 2. Side by side for the lead through 3 and 4.
It's just hard to hang down on the bottom right there. You can see Kevin fighting that wheel. Got to be careful here, man. Kevin's got the line, though, going into 1. This ought to be his line. Up. Kane just packed her on down in there.
Paul Menard's team tweets, close call for front tire carrier Eric Pringle. He was trying to pull the tape off the front grille, but he is okay after that mishap on Menard's pit stop. And here is Casey Mears with trouble.
Got another car. Got another car. Look, I got hit by a can opener.
Not quite as bad as Brian Vickers.
They got all stacked up on the restart, and that accordion effect, not good. Now here comes Casey Mears right in the middle of the screen. Everybody gets a little jacked up here.
Yep, that's where it happened.
And at second place, here comes Carl. You're watching from Kevin Harvick.
Yeah, I think that caution was exactly what Carl Edwards needed, because they had gotten a little bit off with that 99 car. I think they were able to make some adjustments. And Steve, we're getting to the point where it's about a one-stop race from here.
Yeah, Larry Mack, they did make some adjustments, an air pressure adjustment and a small wedge adjustment. Carl had gotten tight at both ends of the racetrack and under caution. Once they made the stop, Carl said, hey, I don't know about you guys, but I'm having fun. Crew Chief Bob Osborne reminded him, Carl, take care of your car. There's still a good ways to go. Just take care of it.
That noise behind Steve's microphone was Joey Logano coming back into the race after bringing out the 8th caution tonight.
Racing here is like riding a motorcycle. You're having fun, really enjoying myself. Whoops, fall down.
Pat.
Clean air was Kevin Harvick's best friend, but when he lost the lead, just like earlier in the race, back behind another car, his car has now gone back to the tight side.
Well, when you're out in clean air, that means the front end is getting as much grip as possible, because you're getting all the air, all the pressure on the front wheels that help them bite.
Buddy, don't overdrive your entry here. You'll get them. Just pick them apart.
Dale Jr. a little loose. Jeff Burton trying to pounce. Steve?
But Mike, Jeff Burton may be having a problem. He just told his crew, water and oil, both on red lights here. They're going to try and look at the grill, but he said again, water and oil, both on red lights.
Well, and what he means by that is these gauges, they're spec gauges. They're able to set what they want maximum water and oil temperature, and it just flashes red warning lights. That way the driver don't even have to actually read the gauges.
Well, I see where a lot of that heat's coming from. The front brakes, those front rotors on that 31 car are really, really glowing red when he heads off into a corner.
Jeff Burton trying to notch his first top 10 finish of the season.
Kicking everything's ass behind you, man. Stay after him.
We always look at the grill opening to make sure there's no debris on it, and it looks clean and free.
Yeah, it does. But Larry, again, as he went in turn 3, a huge amount of brake rotor heat. A lot of times you'll use an extra amount of brake if your car's too tight. You got to get it slowed down so you can get it to turn the corner, particularly into turn 3.
Well, it's been an exciting night at Darlington. We have 75 laps to go. Casey Kane took off from the pole with the lead. Ryan Newman went out front. Kyle Busch has led a lot of laps, but so many drivers have had to overcome adversity. Kane back out front now with Harvick second, Edwards third, Jeff Gordon, and Denny Hamlin, who fell out of the top 20 at one point. Now he's back up in the top 5. Let's take an inside look at what's happening now in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, brought to you by Sprint and HTC Evo 4G. Casey Kane has led 82 laps tonight. Kyle Busch has led 78. And the biggest mover of the race, Dale Earnhardt Jr., running 6th. Hugh, you're international with live in-car audio and real-time stats on NASCAR Sprint Cup Mobile and the new HTC Evo 4G.
Looking at the lap times, those first 3 cars are sort of in a league of their own right now. They're running in the low 29s, even in the 28s every now and then. Everybody else is in the mid 29s, 29, 30s, 40s, and 50s.
Jimmy Johnson is one of those who's been a lap down and fought his way back to the lead lap. Actually, he got the free pass on the most recent caution flag, so Johnson is 18th of 20 lead lap cars. And Kyle Busch keeps picking him up, putting him down. He's into the top 10 after being off the lead lap.
And I think that's the Kyle Busch. Whoa, did he just hit the wall?
I think he did.
He just scraped the wall off turn 4 there.
And then got into Regan Smith just then.
I think he was doing a little block and he lost his momentum. He didn't want Regan to get by him, but he's shown so much more maturity in so many bad situations this year, and tonight's been one of them. And I think what happens to him, we saw this in practice. He gets behind a car off turn 4, and he loses maybe enough air off the front end that a car pushes into the wall. We saw that happen to him in practice.
The good news is it looked like he caught it more with the right rear than the right front.
Scrape.
.70 laps to go. Kyle Busch is 10th. 7 seconds off the lead. The stripe count you can best see on the right side of these cars, but we're well up in double digits right now for cars that have hit the wall and gotten their Darlington stripe.
Here's a guy that's made a nice recovery. Denny Hamlin in the 11 car qualified 3rd, fell outside the top 10. He has cracked the top 5. And Darrell, you were talking about the sacrifices that Clint Boyer's parents made. Denny Hamlin ran his own late model race, and he said he would sit in a room and listen to his mom and dad in the other room argue. His mom would say, we have to keep going. His dad would say, we can't afford it. They kept going, and look where it got Denny Hamlin.
And he drives, I don't know if, I think it was Mike Ford had said earlier to Denny that you drive so much like Bill Elliott. And he really does. He drives, he's conservative, he takes care of his equipment, and he gets the thing home in one piece. That's how you win championships.
2 caution flags. He wasn't even in the top 15 2 caution flags ago. And now here's Hamlin in the top 5. Martin Truex, another of those who fell off the lead lap. He's now 17th, battling Jimmy Johnson for that position. Steve.
Jimmy Johnson being very cautious right now, Mike. He's reporting a vibration in the right front. Now, Chad Canal said all the lug nuts are tight. He also said Dale Earnhardt Jr. reported the same problem earlier, but it turned out to be nothing. But Jimmy Johnson concerned.
You know, Darrell, as I walk through the garage here, Goodyear, they balance these tires and wheels with weights. And one thing I noticed for some reason, and someone even pointed it out to me, they're having to put a lot of wheel weights on these wheels and tires to get them balanced. I almost wonder a lot of times if that's what these drivers might be feeling.
Well, there's no question about it. And the other thing these teams do, Larry, the tire has an interliner in it. And when you start lowering the air pressure in the interliner, that interliner is sitting in there and it wants to shake around a little bit. So that could be any number of things. But too many wheel weights and you lose one, you're going to have a bad vibration. But I really think it's air pressure. I think they let that interliner down too much. It starts shaking around inside the tire.
65 laps and 1 pit stop to go. Riding with Dale Earnhardt Jr. in 6th place.
I'm too loose, man. Therefore, but I see you're doing a hell of a job with it. Just keep doing the best you can. I got to take a bigger swing next stop.
And they hope, Steve Letarte and the rest of these crew chiefs, that this next pit stop.
You're still doing great with it. I know it's bad. 65 to go here. 65.
And this next stop would be their last.
But we've been talking about that all year long. That's the reason that little program is working. Steve Letarte is a cheerleader for Dale Earnhardt.
Let me just tell you something else. About this time of night, about this far into the race, you're just about at your wits' ends with these race cars as a driver and as a crew chief. We've been racing a long time. We still got a ways to go here too. But all that physical and mental stress is starting to kick in.
Maybe not so much for Casey Kane. He's had this race pretty much his own way. And yes, he's kind of been into the wall and hasn't led the whole way, Darrell, but he's led the most laps. And this is by far his best performance of the season.
You know what makes it easy for him? He's got a fast car.
We're listening on Carl Edwards.
T4, you got 59 front.
I think our balance is good enough to win if we were in front.
10-4, about 10-4.
And Carl had said earlier when he was back in the pack, the car was not happy when it was in traffic. It needed to be out front with the clean air.
So Kane the leader, Harvick 1 second back, Edwards right behind Harvick, Jeff Gordon 2.6 back at the top of your screen, and here's Clint Boyer battling Ryan Newman. This is for 8th place. Matt?
My Mike, before the last pit stop, Ryan said he felt like the car really responded to the last change. It was on the tight side, but he felt like the car was better tight. Now, though, he says the car is even much tighter and just trying to hang on. The distance has really grown between himself and Jeff Burton, who's up in 7th. Right now, just looking ahead to that final stop, what changed and how big of a swing it'll be on the 39s.
Second place for Carl Edwards has caught Kevin Harvick. Edwards inside, trying to claw his way to clean air.
Yeah, one of the things about when your car is tight, when the tires are new, it'll turn, it'll feel good. But as you abuse that right front tire, the air pressure shoots up. And as it builds up, the car gets a skate in it, won't turn. I think that may be what Newman's experiencing. I don't think Carl, I think he's got a car that can win. He said that.
I think about what might be a green flag pit stop coming in about 25 to 30 laps. So many things have to be right, especially, as we said earlier, getting on the pit road.
59 laps and 1 pit stop to go in this year's running of the Showtime Southern 500 on Fox.
This is the next team that was going to win a race. These guys were getting their arms around this, the Toyota and the new environment. And the only thing I hate is I didn't pick him to win tonight.
The Red Bull team has one victory since they joined the Cup Series in 2007. Brian Vickers at Michigan in August 2009. And team general manager Jay Fry says, we're putting all the support we can behind Casey Kane, because if he can win some races, it makes that number 4 car very attractive for whoever they might try to hire to replace Kane when he moves to Hendrick Motorsports next year.
Oh yeah, the wins cure everything. No, not wins. A win cures a lot of things.
Carl Edwards is closing the gap, though. He's 1 second back now. Kevin Harvick in 3rd. Harvick is 3.2 off the pace after leading a bit earlier tonight. Harvick has led 47 laps, and Jeff Gordon right behind him, whose gas man Brad Pickens got upended on the pit stop. Pickens is okay and stays in service in the 24 pit. Denny Hamlin started 3rd. He's been fighting his way back to the top 5 and has finally got there. 5th place for Hamlin. Krista.
Denny Hamlin on the last run saying his car was tight all the way through the turn, but was finally more consistent. They just made an air pressure adjustment on the last stop, but right now Denny's saying we are really tight. We need to work on it if we are going to get to the front. That's what they'll do when they come in for that final, what they hope to be their final stop.
You know, he told us life is good right now for him. He won his late model race at Richmond. He won the NNS race up there, finished 2nd. He said, I even finished 2nd in 2 golf tournaments this last week.
Jamie McMurray is the first of the lead lap cars to pit. Dick?
And one of the reasons he pitted in a hurry, Mike, is that he felt a vibration in the car. The crew will also adjust it on this pit stop.
Good news for Jamie McMurray. Should it cycle through, he can make it to the end, as we now have Ryan Newman in the 39 on pit road.
So we're just in the window where the cars could run out a full tank of fuel and make it to the finish. The cars with handling issues should be at pit road very soon.
And Mike, that's the pressure on these gas men. Get this thing absolutely packed full.
Matt?
Mike, Ryan Newman had to pit early. They didn't get the car full of fuel on their last stop. Ryan says, although the car on the tight side, I don't really know if I would touch it. So no change is called for the 39.
Told Jeff Gordon has been in the wall, bounced off, and continues.
Yeah, he's been backing up a little bit, Mike. His lap times have been slowing down.
There's the 24 way up high. Darlington stripe. Marcus Ambrose is in front of Steve.
And Mike, saying the car is tight in the middle. They're going to give him 4 tires, an air pressure adjustment. Ambrose down pit road.
The good news for all these drivers pitting right now, McMurray, here we see Bobby Labonte, is they will get advantage of these 4 fresh tires at least for a few laps.
And all of these teams counting on cycling through green flag pit stops.
Well, yeah, if you get burnt now by a caution coming out, you won't be as lucky as Tony Stewart because we don't have that many laps to go.
Yeah, even if you take the wave around, get back on the lead lap, you got a lot of cars to pass, and that's hard to do here.
Casey Mears, Jimmy Johnson, cars coming in. Johnson gives up 14th to pit. Steve?
It's been a tough night for the 5-timer. Jimmy Johnson saying his car is loose off the corners. 4 tires and an air pressure adjustment for Jimmy Johnson.
Martin Truex pits from 15th place as green flag stops continue. Krista?
4 tires and Sunoco fuel and a track bar adjustment. The call for Martin Truex, his car just a little bit too tight. They want to free it up for this final run. Steve?
Krista, we haven't said a whole lot about Greg Biffle tonight. He says the longer we run, the freer it gets. And it's been free all night long. 4 tires and an air pressure adjustment for Greg Biffle. Just never had the handle tonight.
Paul Menard making his final stop of the night along with David Ruderman. Kenny Schrader in. And Casey Mears continues to be class of the field, running 29.80s. Kane, fastest car on the racetrack as Mark Martin pits.
Boy, he almost spun out getting on pit road. Mark Martin did. Watch this. He's trying to get inside the cone here. He's out there, and man, he just barely.
He just barely
made it.
Steve?
Yeah, Mike, we've heard so many guys talk about getting loose. Mark said this car is so tight, I can't believe it. So that's the problem he's had right now.
Regan Smith pits out of 11th place, and that leaves just the top 10 of the lead lap cars still on the racetrack, Matt.
And a solid run tonight by Regan Smith, really trying to put the whole package together. Had a great run at Daytona. He's had a roller coaster ride since then. Air pressure change on the 78.
So here's who is not pitted. Casey Kane, Carl Edwards, Kevin Harvick, Hamlin, Gordon, Earnhardt, Burton, Boyer, Kyle Busch, and Keselowski.
And you can see Casey Kane in the 4. He's having to deal with these drivers that has those 4 fresh tires, just like Jimmy Johnson in the 48. But where the cat and mouse game will come, when you look at how close Kane and Edwards are in the 4 and the 99, is when they come, they want to, I know they don't want to let one or the other get a big advantage on them as far as tires.
I think Dale Jr. got in trouble down there, Dick.
Well, Dale Earnhardt Jr. last week, they waited too long to pit him at Richmond, and it cost him dearly. They wound up 2 laps down. But he's in now, and this will be the last stop for Junior.
As Larry said in our UPS Logistics, it's not pit road, it's the entrance to pit road. Martin Truex spun. Look at Earnhardt.
I'm pretty sure he hits the cone right there. That should be a penalty.
It should be. The rule says you have to be inside the commit cone.
Well, he was inside it, but the problem is he knocked it out. He knocked it out of the way.
Boyer in the pit stick.
And the problem there is that Boyer has simply lost grip with that race car.
Jeff Burton and Jeff Gordon making stops, and Earnhardt is charged with a commitment cone violation. That'll be a pass through at pit road speed. And take Earnhardt out of the top half dozen and off the lead lap. Kevin Harvick is in, and so is Kyle Busch. Matt?
Track position has been everything for the Bud Chevy. Harvick says the car now tight. Clean window on the windshield. They pull the tear off. Gil Martin called for a slight air pressure change to try to see if they can fix the car for the final run. Krista?
Kyle Busch hoping this is his final stop. Obviously, they have overcome a lot of obstacles. Right now, making a 4-tire change. The car is actually pretty neutral. He actually said it had been getting better, so they are happy with the car. It's just a question of whether he can get through the traffic and get up to the front.
Brad Keselowski's in, Kyle Busch away. And look at the 2 leaders try to get on pit road at the same moment.
And there was no speeding issues there because that was well before pit road speeding starts.
That was amazing that they were able to save both those race cars, really, and get inside the commitment cone.
They get a good eyeball on each other, and then Edwards has to peel into his spot.
He had to let the 4 go there because the 4 is pitting way down pit road. Steve.
Larry Mack, they're going to add a little tape to the grill and a quarter pound of air in the right rear. Those are the adjustments for Carl Edwards, Krista.
It all comes down to this for Casey Kane. It's 2,330 miles from this track to his hometown in Enumclaw, Washington, coast to coast. This final pit stop, he's hoping this makes his first Darlington win happen tonight.
Kane is away, as is Edwards. And there is the gap between the 2 drivers who've been leading this race. Tony Stewart assumes the lead.
And Mike, those guys coming on pit road, I mean, you got to push. You got to push everywhere. And you can't let up a bit. And watch these 2 cats here. They are going for it. Carl says, man, you slowed down too much. I'm coming around you. Whoa. The commitment cone's right there. Give me some room.
They were well within the commitment cone, even with it not being there.
That's right. There's still a box painted on the racetrack in case the cone gets moved away. So here is Stewart pushing the envelope on fuel. Lap 278 is when he was last to pit road, and David Reagan hasn't stopped since lap 281. He's now the 2nd place car.
But remember, Tony had pitted a little bit after these guys did, so he still can go a few more laps. Problem is what he's giving up on the stopwatch as we see David Reagan in the 6th hit pit road.
Look at this. These 2 guys are going at it right now. Kevin Harvick is all over the back of Denny Hamlin. Had a run on him, and Hamlin closed the door on him.
When pit stops are completed, this will be the 4th place battle.
Hey, Harv's in a hurry.
What a great job Denny Hamlin has done fighting back from a race car that's been giving him trouble since he bounced off the wall on lap 2.
Right there, same thing happened last time by. Denny Hamlin really cut down in front of him.
Big slide by Hamlin.
Oh, I'll say.
Because there was a car right in front of him, Darrell. He had no air on the nose coming up off the corner.
This right here when the spotter says he's there. He's looking, he's looking, he's looking. Man.
Never touched him, just got him loose running up there against that left rear.
And Landon Castle right in front of him. That was a tough spot for Hamlin.
And it just looks like that the air, when you take the air off the nose of the car, it jumps sideways. I've seen it on a number of cars running up on either another car or a slower car.
30 laps to go. Tony Stewart coming up on 60 laps on this tank of fuel.
Yeah, he's right now they're getting close. But if he could get a caution right now, we would only have about 5 drivers on the lead lap.
We almost got a caution.
Well, it's a good gamble. I'm going to tell you, it's a good gamble here.
Watch Jeff Gordon and Travis Kvapil, the white car just in front of him. That's close.
That Kvapil up the hill into the wall. Kyle goes flying by.
Boyer all the way down on the apron. There's Jimmy Johnson in the 48 as well.
You know, when Kvapil qualified so well, 21st, good qualifying effort for Front Row Motorsports, but tough night late. And here comes Stewart. He is the last car to pit. Dick Berggren.
Well, Tony Stewart pitted earlier in the night, and then the caution flag flew shortly after that. He went down a lap, had been contender until that point. So he's stretching as long as he could. 4 tires stopped, 2 cans of fuel to take Stewart to the end.
While that pit stop is going on, you can see Carl Edwards in the 99 reeling in Casey Kane in the 4. 29 laps to go. It's like I said at the top of the show. This is where the driver lets it eat. Let's get after it now.
Stewart will fall down the running order, but should stay on the lead lap with this stop. Casey Kane back out in front by just 2 car lengths over Carl Edwards. Less than that. Less than that. Here comes Carl.
Cue the duck.
For the lead. How many times have we seen him this close at the finish? And Carl goes to the front. Big crowd pop-up, Carl Edwards.
right now, everybody on the racetrack, to a man is saying, I don't want to race anybody. I don't want to hit anything. I just want to get this thing over with.
Battle for 7th, riding with Jeff Gordon in the 24, looking back at Kyle Busch in the 18. Kyle had to make an unscheduled pit stop after leading this race earlier because of a lug nut and a lug stud issue, had a vibration.
What a comeback for Kyle Busch. Once he got back onto the lead lap and got the free pass at lap 240, he was 20th. And in the 100 laps since, he has marched his way to 7th place. Here's a look at Kyle Busch's night.
And where you see that low of 29th, that pretty much was about where he had to make that unscheduled pit stop. He was a lap down.
Look, remember that chicken salad sandwich I told you they were going to give Johnson on one of those recent pit stops?
Did they toast it?
No, I think they may have. And they've done it again. How many times he spun out tonight?
Twice, for
Twice.
sure.
We know that. He got a lap down. It's almost like a repeat of Richmond last week, and here he is in the top 10.
And fighting Clint Boyer for 9th.
Battle here for 4th and 5th.
Ryan Newman, Denny Hamlin started 2nd, 3rd.
Hamlin caught Newman and got to him a couple of times, but can't quite squeeze by yet. I think Hamlin might be a tad quicker.
Wonder if he's another of those cars, Darrell, just gets way too tight when he gets close to another car.
It could be. It seems that to be a problem for some of these guys on corner exit.
9th place battle. Boyer and Johnson, 16 laps to go.
I think he just makes Jimmy earn his money, you know? I'm not going to go out there and ride around. You got to work.
Well, he earns lots of it, doesn't he?
You know, Mike, every week I look at the trends and the patterns of the race, and almost everywhere we go, you can almost say the trends show a late race caution. But here, the last caution, normally average lap 318 with roughly 50 laps to go. Still can't rule it out at Darlington.
Larry Mack, your tongue is hanging out right now. Yeah, I'm telling you, you're doing everything you can not to cause a caution. Unlike some places where you'd like to have one, this ain't one of them.
Now, we've run the last 70 laps caution free.
And the last thing you want to do is get everybody all bunched up and have one of those crazy restarts here.
Darrell, you were talking about rotors glowing earlier, riding with Jimmy Johnson in the 48. You can tell he's letting her rip right now because those front rotors are glowing on this 48 car.
Use them up now. You know, we're not going to use them next week.
This race is for 9th. Carl Edwards out in front by 2.7 over Casey Kane. And this race has pretty much gone according to plan. Here's what Edwards had to say on the pace laps before the race started.
A lot's going to happen tonight, so we just got to keep our heads on. I'll try really hard not to wreck this thing so we got something at the end.
And I think, honestly, that's what he and Bob Osborne both did at the start of this race. Remember, he was complaining about the front splitter on the front end hitting the racetrack.
Well, I just know from history, every time that I know that a lot of these drivers, their wife gives birth, the next week they win the race. The next weekend they'll win the race. It happens a lot.
Did that happen to you?
It happened to me.
I thought it
Twice.
did.
It happened to me.
I thought it did.
So I know others that have had that same experience.
How about an update on Trevor Bayne? While Carl Edwards leads this race with 12 laps to go, Trevor, the Daytona 500 winner, was scheduled to run in last night's race, but he's out of the Mayo Clinic. He's home, got himself a new Ford Raptor, but Larry, he can't drive it.
Yeah, but a lot has happened on a positive note. You know, the fatigue and nausea he had, it's dissipated, and he's still having a little bit of eyesight issue, but they think it can be treated with medication. And Jeff Burton, he's been complaining.
Stay on the apron, stay out of the groove.
Still green with 10 to go.
Yeah, he's down on the apron, and shouldn't be a caution for that.
Yeah, he'd been running hot, and Steve Burns had been telling us, Jeff had been telling the crew, and now we have the caution.
Or maybe we should have a caution for that.
10 to go right now, bud. 10 to go.
Thing kind of blew up on him. He was in the groove there a little while, but a lot of smoke, oil, probably not a bad call.
10th caution of the night comes out at lap 357 with 10 laps to go.
Now what are you going to do?
Melinda Harvick.
Quit pulling your hair.
We've got 25 laps on our tires. We're going to probably have about 4 to 5 laps to go. We've got 18 drivers on the lead lap. And I think we'll see some of them, Darrell, roll the dice and maybe change just rights. I couldn't imagine that staying out's going to win this race, though.
No, I can't imagine that either. But I certainly can't imagine 2 tires can.
So, Darrell, if you're leading this race, if you're Carl Edwards, what do you want to do?
You're sitting duck. You come in, some of the others may stay out. You stay out, all the others will come in.
Sitting duck, no pun intended, huh?
That's right. I said a minute ago, cue the duck.
I think it's just going to be an opposite. You know, it's going to be a flip-flop, whatever happens.
18 lead lap cars, plus I believe Dale Earnhardt Jr. will be the free pass car. And if anybody takes the wave around, the only other car 1 lap down is David Reagan.
I also think the decision that Carl Edwards and Bob Osborne has to make, remember, he has well said, my car is only good when I'm out fronting clean air.
Pit road is open. It's decision time.
And that 4 car is bad fast on a short run.
Yes, he is.
Here comes Carl. And here comes Casey. With friends.
Steve?
Mike, been listening to Bob Osborne and Carl Edwards discuss this. Carl said, I'll do whatever you want to do. Bob Osborne said, go on the jack. I think they're going to do 2 tires here on the 99. Matt?
Jeff Gordon's going 2 tires as well. The Bud Chevy of Kevin Harvick. The call from Gil Martin. 2 tires. Krista.
They question what to do for Casey Kane, but they had gotten tight on that last run, so they're going to free it up and just go with 2 right side tires for this final sprint.
And the gamblers are Regan Smith, Brad Keselowski, Tony Stewart. They stay on the racetrack. All the rest of the lead lap cars pit.
Well, remember, Stewart was in the pits last, so he has the least amount of laps on his tires of the guys that stayed out.
Yeah, he only has about 19 laps on his tires.
Might not be a bad call.
Yeah,
Darian Grubb's pretty good at some of these gambling calls.
Regan Smith has had a great season of qualifying. He has the best qualifying average of any driver, but the Syracuse native has had trouble getting top finishes. He was in 6th place when the caution came out. And there's smoke surrounding Jeff Burton's car. But Smith decided to gamble, so did Keselowski and Stewart.
Bad news for the 48.
Which is?
Purdy's going to have to come back in. Got a lug missing.
Oh boy. Well, if they only went with 2 right side tires, you might as well get the other left sides now.
Chris and Jeff?
Well, Mike, it's been an adventurous night. Casey Kane has led the most laps, followed by Kyle Busch. But other activity, remember Juan Pablo Montoya warned about getting your Ryan Newman. He got into Jimmy Johnson, and then he had trouble with Brian Vickers early.
Slides up there after taking those 2 tires and hits with the 83 car.
Rough night for Vickers, Jeff. David Reagan into his car, just shreds the car. You talked about foam and sheet metal everywhere.
Yeah, and actually ripped the window net completely loose on that driver's side.
And getting that 83, talk about earning your stripe, earning some tape. But on pit road, hold on gas band. He was okay.
He didn't take equipment out of the pit box either.
And this with Paul Menard, he was all right in front of the car.
I told you real men work in the pits.
And some of the pit stops adventurous for different drivers and different crews as Regan Smith with 7 to go out in front. Your thoughts on a restart inside outside here?
Well, right now the guys have been restarting at least of a leader. If he takes the inside lane, he's been getting beat by the outside lane. So I think this is going to be real interesting. This could really jam everybody else up at the back, and the inside lane may wind up being the smart place because if the outside guy doesn't go, it's going to make one heck of a mess going into 1.
And the problems for Jeff Burton might continue. This already a long night here. The Showtime Southern 500, technically 501 miles, and we might not be done yet.
No, Chris, we have 7 laps to go. And Brad Keselowski behind Regan Smith with tires that are 5 laps fresher than Smith's. Smith pitted lap 326, Keselowski 331, Stewart 339. Next week, Fox Saturday Baseball back in prime time. Red Sox, Yankees. Showdown between two of the sport's biggest rivals. Giants, Cubs, Diamondbacks, Dodgers. Next week in prime time, presented by Lowe's, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 Pacific. Check local listings for the game and start time in your area. Let's hear from Regan Smith on the decision to stay out.
How many laps on these tires?
30, only 30. Stay out, Regan. Stay out.
Yeah. Well, I got my whip.
Yeah, 10-4. Keep them tires clean, but keep them clean.
That's the key right there. Keep the tires cleaned up. If you spin your tires on this start, who's this blowing water?
Clint Boyer, Jeff Burton's teammate.
Got a problem.
Another Childress car.
I think he'll make it all right. Listen, that's not unusual for Darlington. There's so much sand and dirt on the track here that it clogs up your radiator right along 400-500, right around 450 miles.
Getting ready for the restart. The problem for Smith, Keselowski, and Stewart, the cars that did not stop, is that Carl Edwards is the first car on fresh tires, and he is right there in row 2 as we get ready for the restart. And behind him, Casey Kane, Kevin Harvick, Denny Hamlin, Ryan Newman, Kyle Busch, Jeff Gordon, all with fresh tires. Here they come for the green with 5 laps to go.
Regan spun the tires a little bit, but he's going to get away with it because Keselowski's not going at all.
Keselowski in the 2 somewhat held Carl Edwards up in the 99 there on the outside, but Edwards is going to make a run for 3rd.
Here he comes. He's got a good run down the back. There should be a lot of contact as we head down this back straightaway.
Kyle Busch way on the inside picks up a spot. Harvick drops 1. Edwards to 2nd on fresh tires.
4 to go this time.
4 to go and 3
wide. Boyer in the wall. Hard
wreck.
He stays out.
4 wrecks down here, turn 4, big wreck.
Harvick in trouble.
Keep going. We hit damper.
3 of the 4 Childress cars in trouble in the closing laps.
Get 4 tires.
Boyer's car, the front end destroyed.
They were all, I mean, it's spaghetti junction when you get to on these restarts late in this race. Track slick, you know, some guys on old tires, some guys on new. That was inevitable.
Certainly not what Regan Smith wanted to see.
Now the window net's down on Boyer. That's a signal to the safety crews that he is okay. Remember, we saw Kyle Busch dropping way down to the bottom, passing cars almost on the apron. That's his number 18 against Harvick.
Well, you can see already the left front of Harvick's tire where they made contact. The whole left side. And here comes Kevin back. Gives the 18 a big shot in the rear. And here comes Boyer down on the bottom, and they get 3 wide right here. And this is when I knew it was going to go bad.
It just would not work.
Somebody looked like got into the back of Kevin Harvick, just turned him around, slammed into the wall, did some heavy damage to that machine.
Kane drops the inside as they go 3 wide behind him, and Boyer takes a wild ride into the safer barrier. And Kyle Busch turned Harvick around after they had made contact half a lap before.
Yeah, I think there's something not quite right about that. I'd have to look at that another time or 2.
Let's see it from our DirecTV blimp.
You see them back here. They get all bottled up off turn 4. 3 wide right there. Lots of contact. Boyer gets into the side of his teammate, Harvick.
You can see the 18 and the 29 hit again there, and Kyle Busch just goes dead left and pretty much hooks Kevin Harvick in the 29.
They made contact off turn number 4.
Fix up.
Boyer shot down into the inside wall.
Inside, 39's inside. Inside, very low. Inside, 33's inside here. He's overheating inside, middle. Hold her straight.
Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. We didn't hit a damn thing.
Now let's ride with Jeff Gordon through this.
Down here. Middle 3. Clear high. One down low. Keep coming. Bam. Corner. Watch this. Watch this. Get down. One down low. One down low. You're clear. Clear high. Get on the track. Corner. Clear.
Clint Boyer climbs out. He is okay after a hard hit to the inside wall.
Just so absolutely disappointing to run as good as he has all night long and then end up like this with just a few laps to go. Same way with the 29.
And we listened in on Kevin Harvick.
3 put us 3 wide. And then the 18 hooked me.
We're going to hook the 18 some other time. He should just be ready for it. He's got a flat 2 on the left front, I hope.
We saw from the replay that Kyle Busch got into Harvick, who then got into Boyer. It was kind of a chain reaction collision that sent Clint Boyer hard into the inside wall.
Mike, there's just so much contact back here between these 3 cars. I mean, it's just hard to know exactly, see what happened there. Here's the 18 to 29 right here. Now watch the 18. He's up against the 29. They sort of separated. I don't know if see them back here. Here they come off the corner right here, all 3 of them. Contact, the 33 and the 18 and the 29. The 33 shoots down the track. These 2 cars here, they make contact. Then right there, that,
I think that pretty much tells the tale right there.
Yeah, I don't know what happened, but I do know the 18 hit the 29.
4 laps to go. Regan Smith is the race leader. Carl Edwards right behind him on new tires. Brad Keselowski on old tires, as is Tony Stewart in 4th. Casey Kane, and from Kane on back, the rest of the lead lap cars have fresh tires. Kane, Hamlin, Newman, McMurray, Gordon, and Biffle are the top 10. And as they take the caution with 3 to go, we will move to green-white checker and up to 3 attempts to finish this.
It may take 3 attempts.
It may very well.
This has only happened once previously at Darlington. That was in 2007.
I think Greg Biffle won that race.
Now, I was pretty impressed with the way that the 78 car Regan Smith, I'm pretty impressed with the way he took off there and was able to hold that lead before all that happened behind him.
He didn't want to see that caution.
Oh no, I think he was in pretty good shape.
Because he knows that puts Carl Edwards in that 99 with 2 fresh right side tires on the outside on this restart.
How's he going to beat Carl Edwards into turn 1 this time?
Well, he should, if he could get a little bit of advantage getting on the start here. He needs that inside so he can go up in front of Carl and block Carl. That's what he needs. But I don't think he can, even if he blocks him off turn 2, I think Carl's going to have the grip with those 2 tires to get by.
The big question right now is, can we end this race with 1 attempt at green-white checker? Green, then the white, then the checker. 20 cars on the lead lap. Regan Smith looking for his first Sprint Cup victory. Carl Edwards trying to deny him from the outside of the front row. Then Keselowski, Stewart, Kane, and Hamlin. Green flag, 2 to go.
Boy, I tell you, that 2 car gets up in there. That's going to mess with Carl a little bit. But Carl should be able to get the steam up the outside.
Regan Smith in that 78 gets a good run through 1 and 2. Actually pulls away from Carl Edwards down the backstretch.
Stewart loses a bit of ground and loses 2 spots. It is Smith into turn 3. Edwards has the grip, and here he comes to the white flag. Regan Smith 1 lap away. Paul Menard blowing up in the back of the pack. White flag.
Can he do it? Can he hold him off?
No matter what, we've got a race now. They'll race it back if we don't get a caution.
Boy, Regan got off to the turn 2.
Oh, he hits the wall.
He's all right. He's okay. He got off there great.
But Edwards didn't jump inside.
They're all wrecking behind him, but it's okay. Can he hold him off? One more corner.
Here we come to the flag. Regan Smith looking for his first Sprint Cup win. Edwards, 2 car lengths back. Smith gets the flag, and this time he'll get to keep it.
How about that?
I love you guys, man. That's awesome.
Wow.
That's awesome. Yes.
What a call.
You're the man, buddy. Nice job today. Nice job today, buddy. Thank you very much. Wow. Nice job.
A single car team racing out of Denver, Colorado is going to victory lane in the Southern 500.
And we've been bragging about his qualifying. You know, what a great qualifier. And this week he qualifies terrible. The worst he's qualified all year. But guess what? Got him a win.
I mean, this puts him in the Sprint All-Star race.
And Harvick and Busch.
He's after him.
Yeah, this has just started now.
Kyle says, I don't know how you're going to have to. This ain't going to happen too good.
There was a pass, there was contact, and then, as Boyer went into the fence, Kyle Busch came and turned Kevin Harvick around.
We know Harvick is he plays rough, especially when the race is over with. I've seen him climb over people's cars to get to him.
We've got cars overheated. We've got drivers overheated.
And we got wrecked cars. And
Bobby Labonte crashed on the final lap. Harvick looking in his mirror. Shuts the switches off.
Something's going to have to give here, boys.
We thought it could be Newman and Montoya. Turns out it's Harvick and Busch. And they are still stopped way up at the turn 4 end of pit road as Regan Smith does his victory lap. And Harvick's going to put the steering wheel back on.
I think Harvick was getting ready to hop out of that thing. I think somebody must have gotten to him. No,
wheels off again. Here he comes.
He says, okay, this is enough. I'm going back here and we're going to have a little talk. And there goes his car. That car just took off. Holy smoly. That's Darlington. Fireworks.
Fireworks in the air are the least of it.
Stay cool right here. We'll handle it later.
How about Carl Edwards congratulating Regan Smith?
Now that is really classy on Carl's part. Both Kevin Harvick and Kyle Busch will go meet with NASCAR officials in the Oval Office. There was a crash in the backstretch on the last lap.
Pretty big, too. I mean, there were a lot of cars, the 9, the 47, both.
And Kyle got a piece of that as he tried to pass Ambrose.
Boy, Bobby Labonte in that 47, a lot of damage.
He'd had a great race all night long. Car didn't have a scratch on it.
Well, Ambrose and Labonte were 11th and 12th when that happened. And here is the finish. Boy, we thought on new tires Carl Edwards had the measure of Regan Smith, but he could not get in clean air, could he?
Regan could just, he had exactly what you needed. He had that clean air on the nose, and man, he could get up off a corner.
I want to hear in victory lane what he meant when he said, I got my wish.
I think he was wanting a late caution. Okay. I think that's what he was wishing for.
One of the wildest wins in Sprint Cup history and one of the wildest finishes. Regan Smith becomes the 45th driver to win a Sprint Cup race at Darlington. The 6th first-time race winner here. The last to do it was Lake Speed in 1988. Cato, New York, former Rookie of the Year, is in victory lane at Yokohama.
Legendary names who have won this crown jewel event. Now you can add your name to the Johnny Mans Trophy. Can you describe what this means for you, Regan?
No, I really can't. It's first and foremost, all the moms out there, happy Mother's Day. My mom comes to every race that I run just about, and she missed this one. Sorry. She's in Tuscaloosa, Alabama with some animals and saving animals after the tornadoes down there. So, Mom, hi, I love you. Sorry you missed this, but gotta thank the fans, all the fans for coming out. Furniture Row, these guys have stuck behind me for 3 years now. We've had some major ups and major downs, and I think this would be classified as a major up for sure. The car was good all night. We just never had track position, and the opportunity showed up to stay out there, and Pete made a great pit call. I was going to be mad if he didn't say that, but I was going to do what he told me to do, and it worked out. We're in an all-star race. There's too much cool stuff going on right now. I had to get my composure out there. Actually, just right here I did, and we got a neat trophy now. Legends win this race. I'm not supposed to win this race. I have never even had a top 5. I guess that shows in this series, anybody can win on any given Sunday.
The boys from Colorado take a big one in Darlington.
Pete Rondo makes the call. Regan Smith goes to victory lane. Brad Keselowski, Greg Biffle there to congratulate him. Carl Edwards came over before he got to victory lane. Give him a big handshake. And here it was on the final lap. Regan Smith about runs out of room and just about loses the race right there.
Yeah, but his Carl right behind him looked like it was shadowing him. Did the same darn thing.
Meanwhile, tempers overflow back in the garage area between Kevin Harvick and Kyle Busch's team. While this simmers down, let's hear from the second place finisher. Krista?
Yeah, Mike, Carl Edwards was watching the replay of that last lap, that final restart. You had the fresh tires. You saw Regan hit the wall. Anything you could have done differently? Did you feel like that's my chance?
There's about 6 things I could do differently, and I'll be doing them differently until the next time we come back here, in my mind. But I got to thank Aflac for being here. Dan Amos was here. I wanted to get a win for them so badly. And congratulations to Regan Smith. I need a mattress. I might go buy one at Furniture Row. He did a great job. He spun the tires a little bit on the restart. I pedaled to make sure I didn't beat him across the line. Then Brad pushed him. And then I was scrambling. I thought I didn't plan on this. I didn't plan on having the lead. But I got to say Happy Mother's Day to my wife. I love you, Kate. I really wish I could have brought down home the trophy. This race means a lot to win, but got to congratulate Regan. That's a huge day for him.
What did you say to him when you went up to his car?
I just told him this is a really big deal, and he knows that. He drove Mike Mittler's truck at Phoenix one time. I got to work on it for him as a driver. So I've worked with him as a crew member, as low man on the totem pole. He's a good person. Man, just I guess if I had to get beat, it's all right to get beat by him, but we'll be back. Aflac is behind us 100%. We're leading the points, and we'll just go to the next one.
Feel good story, but enjoy your Mother's Day. Congratulations on the new little one, Carl.
A lot to sort out here. Not everyone will leave here happy as Kyle Busch takes off and sends Harvick's car into the wall. A final injustice on what has been a difficult night. We'll have lots more after this.
Story with his mom Lee helping animals in tornado-ravaged Alabama. Regan Smith, his first win in 105 career races. He led only 11 laps, his fastest lap at the end in overtime here in Darlington.
Yeah, on lap 370, he ran the fastest lap of his race at 28.82 to beat Carl Edwards with a 28.87. But that was the difference of the race, Chris.
Kyle Busch wound up 11th. Jeff Gordon 12th, and we're waiting to hear from either Kevin Harvick or Kyle Busch. But let's check in with Casey Kane.
Casey Kane had a fast car. You were beating yourself up when you hit the wall, but then it's almost like you guys were given a second chance. If you hadn't hit the wall, would the outcome have been any different? I know you got tight on that last run.
Well, we were tight after that. We had to keep freeing the car up, fixing the car. Pit stops were key. The Red Bull guys did awesome. I killed the crush panel, so I'm covered in fumes and rubber and stuff. So I don't. We didn't finish as good as we should have. I think we could have ran second. Fourth's good for what for hitting the wall as hard as I did. Fourth's good.
Thanks, Casey.
Meanwhile, Clint Boyer on the lead lap of threatening as we take a look at the celebration for 27-year-old Regan Smith. And Clint Boyer afterwards, of course, his car brought out the caution that created further problems. And Clint okay. He's had a couple of second place finishes so far this season, hitting the wall hard. And we caught up with Clint Boyer and Dick Berggren standing by.
All right, Clint Boyer, you mad at anybody over what happened?
Just can't wait to get out of here. Just product nature of the beast. I mean, there's no room to race at the end. I knew when a caution come out, all hell was going to break loose, and it did. I mean, I got such a good run down there. I felt like, I don't know, I passed 4 or 5 cars and they come off there, and I had plenty of room. I don't know if somebody got into Kevin, knocked him down into me or something. It just real abrupt come down. And I saw he got wrecked too. But how about Regan Smith? At least something good come out of it. Proud of him for winning. Proud of BB&T. Just trying to manage everything, stay out of trouble all day long. We did, and get caught up in the road.
All right, thank you, Clint.
Everybody happy for Regan Smith, who at the age of 4 got into a go-kart. His mom wasn't keen on the idea because she said he just learned how to walk. Turned out pretty good. A lot more to come here in Darlington.
Just made a run for those 2 guys to get back on my inside, and then obviously Clint wrecked bouncing off of Harvick, and it was just uncalled for, just unacceptable racing. And it's in the last couple laps, but I gave him room off of 2. I didn't get the room, so just real unfortunate. I mean, I hated it. We tore up a few good cars there, and our doublemint Camry was so good today that we should have ran up front, should have finished up front, but we kind of got marred back in traffic there and tried to fight our way back forward. So it was a really good, clean night. I probably passed the most cars tonight, but there was one I couldn't pass.
Kyle, understand now you're being asked to go to the NASCAR trailer. Is that correct?
Yeah, no big deal. That's fine. Good to hash it out now. Might as well.
Okay. Good luck.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, thank you, Steve. And a candid Kyle Busch. Now, he has a reputation of being an aggressive driver, Jeff Hammond, but between Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick, who also is very aggressive, who is thought of as the more clean driver in those situations?
I'm going to let NASCAR figure that one out, because to me, both these guys are about equal. I mean, they're just a couple of bulls in the china shop. When they get debating on each other, they're going to break a lot of dishes.
I thought it was interesting. We started the day with Montoya Newman was a punch thrown.
And wondered if there was a punch thrown.
And we saw a punch thrown
exactly
tonight.
Right.
We just didn't know it would come after overtime or another green-white checker here in Darlington, Mike.
Well, certainly a wild night, but Regan Smith, what a great feel-good story. Remember, he took the checkered flag.